Yeah. Been wearing a fur coat all summer.
All right, are we ready, Callie? Does everyone have their microphones on and positioned?
Yes, Mayor.
All right. Calling to order the Parowan City Council meeting for August 14th. It is 5:30 p.m. Thank you for being here tonight. It rained a little bit earlier, and sometimes that means people don't come out. So we appreciate you being here. We will begin this meeting with something thoughtful from our treasurer, Jerry Ross. Followed by that, he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Tonight I have a Steve Jobs quote. It was when he was a child interacting with an older neighbor. The neighbor brought him into his garage, and he pulled out an old rock tumbler. It was a motor and a coffee can and a band in between them. He said, "We got some regular old ugly rocks, and we put them into the can with a bit of liquid and a bit of grit powder. We closed the can up, turned the motor on, and he said, 'Come back tomorrow.' The can was making a racket as the stones were bounding around. I came back the next day, and we opened the can, and we took out these amazing, beautiful, polished rocks. The same common stones that had gone in through rubbing against each other, creating a little bit of friction, creating a little bit of noise, had come out these beautiful, polished rocks. It's through a team and a group of talented people bumping against each other, having arguments, having fights that at times make some noise. By working together, they polish each other, and they polish the ideas that what comes out are these really beautiful things." And that kind of struck me for what you guys do and the planning of what we do. Sometimes it's great, sometimes we're bumping against each other, but I feel like we're really putting out beautiful rocks. If you would stand with me for the pledge. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. All right. Are there any conflicts with the agenda or personal interest that need to be discussed or talked or presented?
No, Mayor.
No.
All right, we do have some changes to the agenda. There's really just one. We have just received and been contemplating our airport FBO contracts, and we realized that we aren't really ready to take action this evening. We've got a lot more to discuss, and so I would request that we table that item tonight.
Well, Mayor, I make a motion to table item number 10 to another time, the FOB, airport FOB contract.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. The other thing I wanted to say at the beginning instead of the end of the meeting, we have two different surveys that are out there right now. If you haven't taken time, this was from SUU's MPA program. They're going to synthesize the answers to this and present them back to us, and it's really a neat opportunity to talk about why communities thrive. And they actually chose Parowan of all the other communities in Iron County because they felt like we were thriving and that we would have some answers that would help other cities. And so even though sometimes it feels laborious to take surveys, this is one that I would really hope that we take a little time and put some thought into. The second one, I put some out on the table. Iron County has been planning the fairground changes and improvements, and we are getting close to releasing those maps and that information to the public, and I say we because there's like a committee of people that have been meeting for quite some time. This survey is for your input, because nothing's finalized, but definitely wanting input now, and Parowan's gonna get a little bit of a jump start on it. You'll start seeing these out and about. They'll definitely be at the fair on sandwich boards, and there'll be a table and things like that. But, the survey is now open, and we were asked to invite Parowan residents to get on and take this survey. So you'll see both of those. And people always want their voices heard. Surveys really are, I mean, whenever we talk about how to get public feedback, it's like, could we afford or put together a survey? So they are, you know, there's a cost to these, and that work has already been done, and so I would hope that you would take that opportunity for your voice to be heard. This time is now yours. We have 3 minutes for anyone who'd like to come up and participate in public comments. All right, seeing that there is no one approaching the microphone, we'll move into the consent agenda. These are usually administrative and approved by one motion. Item 5 is the approval of the City Council meeting minutes from July 31st, 2025. Item 6 is the approval of the warrant register for August 14th, 2025, and item 7 is the approval of July 2025 financial report.
Mayor, I have a question on the minutes. It's just very minor, but it stated that Tom Zaleski gave the invocation and I led the pledge. I think Tom did both.
Okay,
I didn't remember doing the pledge, so.
all right, maybe you were just the loudest.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so with that change or that adjustment, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll move to approve the consent agenda items 5, 6, and 7 with the change that Councilmember Burton noted.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Moving now into our action agenda, Sweet Pea Farm and Orchard has asked for a single event liquor license for their farm to table event, which will be September 20th this year, 2025. So I just need a motion to approve that. We've done that in the past, and this is a similar event to what has been held out there without incident.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the Sweet Pea Farm Orchard single event liquor license for September 20th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And now we need to adopt our fiscal year 2026 fee schedule. It's a resolution, so we'll need to do that by roll call vote, and our city treasurer, Jerry Ross, will come up and present that to us, highlighting the changes that have been made.
I'm gonna pull this up on the screen.
Okay. So, do you guys want me to walk through change by change on this? Is that what would you prefer? Okay.
That's a great idea.
So we will start.
Oh, wait, sorry. I was like, where did our screen go? Only the changes have yellow.
Correct. So the changes are yellow. The first thing, and we'll kind of clean up some of the page breaks, this is for business licenses. The way that it previously stated was just after 30 days, but it wasn't extremely clear what 30 days was. So we just like it to write March 1 and April 1, just so that we can clearly define when the late periods begin and when the fees change for business licenses. Coming down a little bit, the administration fee, we're talking about cemetery fees right now, the exchange, buyback, or name change fees. When Connie does these, some of them can be very quick, some of them can be literally hours of her going through, finding out who did it, and the $25 rate just doesn't nearly cover the hours used to do them. So kind of we looked at the worst case scenario and the best and adjusted that rate to $50 for the change. The next one is under library fees,
Wait, let me just clarify, cause I'm gonna fix these as we go.
Okay.
If there's no concerns or problems from the council, I'm gonna go ahead and clear it. And in this case, we have the old rate here. Assuming there's no problem, I'm gonna just change that. Just so you know what I'm gonna do as we go.
Perfect.
So if you got a problem with something or wanna discuss it, interrupt Jerry.
The next thing is library fees. We have not previously had a non-resident library card and Corey has reached out to a lot of other municipalities about what do they charge. And every place she's contacted has had a fee for a non-resident library card. The fees range in other places between $45 and $120, so we kind of came to a middle ground of $55 for a non-resident library card to help put some funds into our library.
What's a resident?
Free.
Free?
Free.
So is it outside of 84761, or is it outside of Iron County? How do we determine a resident versus a non-resident?
I believe she intended for it to be outside of our zip code,
Okay.
but we're open.
Let's clarify that. Let's put it in the language, because
Okay.
it could be inside city limits versus outside city limits. Zip code is gonna be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And Iron County is gonna be obviously a bigger circle.
And I should have asked that question before the
Okay.
meeting. We could have clarified it, but maybe it's worth a discussion. I mean, Brian Head, this is Brian Head's library, Paraguna Summit, this is their library, so,
We do have, I'm not gonna hijack and I won't give you too much information, but it is relevant. We receive tax dollars. There is a library tax that is a property tax. We receive library tax, and the calculation that the county auditor does, I know I invented the formula. We receive property tax from the Bryan Head area, Paraguna City, Parowan City. Those three municipalities, we receive their portion of the property tax, plus a portion of the unincorporated is given to us as well. The thinking being that Cedar City's library serves the general Cedar City area, and our library serves the general northern Iron County area. So that's, we do get property tax for that, so it might factor into whether we charge a fee or not to those people. And as far as the county, the argument there is that, yes, we provide services to the county and the county gets taxed, but the county bookmobile has stops inside our city and don't charge a fee for our residents to use the county bookmobile, which is ran by the state. I know it gets messed up. So just a thought there. You may say Cedar City has their own library, but we probably ought to factor in at least Bryan Head, Paraguna, and the Valley.
And Summit,
Summit being part of, I would say, the
Are-
Valley.
okay.
So do we just wanna do those four zip codes?
Those three zip codes plus the Parowan Valley. What does everybody think about that?
I'm fine with
I
that.
think we
Does
should.
everybody like a non-resident fee?
Mm-hmm.
And the part of the reason is because you have some people that are coming that literally don't live here at all, that are demanding a library card, and we're like, we're not even sure if we're ever gonna get that book back, and so, and Corey's had some issues, and so she's wanted to institute this fee, knowing that it had some policy implications, so.
All right, so the next thing I have, and this is just cleaning up a little bit of wording that was previously on it. It's for the pool rental, and the new wording we propose is all payments for pool rentals must be made at least 1 week before the reservation date and are based on a 2-hour rental period. A $50 per hour fee applies to the, after the first 2 hours. So we didn't have the extra 50 in the old thing, and Shelby was talking about getting people, because she's having to put lifeguards on schedule and do things to make sure that she was properly staffed. She requested that we had the payments come in a little bit earlier than that.
You're faster than me, sorry.
I think you should also, Dan, when you're doing it, I think you should specify Summit.
Oh, sorry, I was going to. Sorry, Summit.
Whoa, okay.
Were we on pool rental?
That language right there is what we wrote in, specifying 2 hours, specifying the date they need to pay prior to, and how much it is after 2 hours if they want to go further. If you could spell check and take that space out in between the $ and $50 per for me, please. The next one is kind of a toss-up in the air when we're talking about our baseball and softball fields. So currently, all nonprofit groups are allowed to use our baseball and softball fields without any charge accruing. And a little bit of what we're experiencing is some congestion up at the ball fields because it is free for any Little League organization to come and use our fields. when coaches want to do practices and other things. So we're trying to balance the line of like not trying to be profitable off of baseball, but also not trying to lose money off of housing other people, because from what they're telling us, our fields are in better shape than other surrounding areas. It's a short drive, so they'd rather come here than book in their other places. They're also skirting some fees because there's other places in Cedar that will charge them a fee when we're just absolutely free. So Aldo and Justin and I came together and just threw this $25 charge on there. If they're not a nonprofit, it's $100 per field. We're just trying to figure out what can we do to, because the baseball fields are very expensive. What can we do to make sure that everyone's contributing a little bit to the upkeep of the fields? We were looking at a $25 per field per day if it's a little league outside of Parowan using that. I haven't gotten anything about the summits or the other places coming to use. I think they pretty much just go Cedar or us with that.
So we say Parowan nonprofit groups, but we do allow, we work with summer games, which wouldn't be a Parowan nonprofit.
And they pay.
Do they pay?
They do.
Okay. What is LLs? Little leagues.
Sorry.
So what does everybody think?
What about residents just using it?
Free. We basically want, when other people are generating money off of us
Okay.
spending money,
So
we'd
does
like
that
to try
need
and
to be
recoup some of that
written?
money.
Does that need to be specified here so there's no misunderstanding?
I don't, we could, but soccer fields are free to residents. Like, any resident can go use any of our things that we do, as long as we don't have a previously scheduled thing on it. Our concern is organizations that are profiting off of us maintaining
Oh,
really
I get
excellent
it,
level
but
fields.
I'm just trying to make sure there's no misunderstandings.
So let's get through team sports, and maybe we can put something at the bottom of a resident clause allowing all of our residents to use everything that we do, if you're okay with that.
Hang on.
Soccer fields,
Let's finish. What are we doing? Are we feeling comfortable with no charge for Parowan nonprofits? Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nonprofit is gonna be, they have to be officially a nonprofit, affiliated with a nonprofit. So I'm gonna move on. What about Little League? Did we answer that question?
I think that's fair,
I do
personally.
too.
Per day?
everything else is per field.
Per field per day?
Yes. That is what they are, correct.
Well, I guess we know that. Okay, go ahead, resume.
Next is just adding the Parowan for nonprofit groups on the soccer fields, because the language is identical to the baseball, softball fields. We had some differences in how much different sports cost, just because of escalation and reduction. So all youth sports, the registration fee is gonna be $35, doesn't matter if it's soccer, flag football, laser tag, volleyball, everything is $35. The weekly, this wasn't previously in our fee schedule, for a weekly pickleball fee.
Can I ask you a question there? And that's for Parowan kids, $35?
Correct.
Yeah, all of our rec programs.
Is there a fee or a fund or something for what if a kid can't pay?
To the best of my knowledge, we don't deny anyone.
Okay,
So if they come in, we take care of it.
thank you.
Adding a $20 7-day pickleball registration. Also, we didn't have adult softball. When a player signs up for the first time, she makes them a hat and a t-shirt, but we didn't have a fee for what if they lost or wanted a new hat or shirt that coincides with everything else. So we added that in there, the $25 fee for an adult softball hat and shirt.
And this is for non-residents, right?
No.
No,
Residents
residents, like, all of, like the rec program?
is our rec program.
So a lot of the rec programs are really trying to grow. So the traditional miscellaneous youth sports line, we allow anyone to play. Adult softball, we allow anyone to play. We're trying to grow some of the sports.
So on the pickleball, the 10-month program fee for like $150, is that for a group or
That's per person,
per person?
correct?
Where's that?
Under
$150,
pickleball.
one round of golf. And you get to play all year, Sharon.
Yes, Janelle has a comment.
So, we don't charge anything for outdoor use. This is for the league play. Do they do any? Do we do league, so do we do any league play on the outdoor courts? I don't think we do. So what we should clarify is pickleball league play. Pickleball league.
Should it say outdoor courts free or outdoor courts no charge?
Yeah, I think just writing indoor is probably a fair thing because we don't know what the next year is gonna hold for facilities. So with that, I think indoor probably clearly specifies. You good with that?
I think specifying that it's league is important because.
It is, that's why
Because
I
we're
was
not
asking.
charging for somebody to go into
Yeah.
our courts and clarifying indoor courts. And if we change that, if we have some sort of outdoor league or something like that, we'll have a separate thing on there, so we're feeling good about that? Everybody feel good about all of those things? Do we wanna go back? This will be the end of sports, so we wanna go back and clarify residential use of the baseball fields?
Well, I think you specified it, haven't you?
No, I mean, you want to specify.
No, isn't it, didn't it say Parowan
Parowan nonprofit.
non-resident? Yeah.
No, Parowan nonprofit, there's no charge.
Oh,
If it's Little League or daily rental of an entire field, there's a
Right.
charge.
Correct, the $25 fee is for non-Parowan organizations looking to use the fields that are nonprofit. Non-Parowan nonprofit groups.
okay. Well, I just think it should say somewhere about the Parowan residents can use those fields.
So what about at the bottom, underneath adult softball
Yeah.
teams, if we write, when league play is not scheduled, Parowan residents are free to use fields at their leisure or something?
Yeah.
Everybody live with that?
Mhm.
Comfortable?
Yeah, that's good.
We're getting a little longer with our stuff. Hope you're okay with that. You didn't have some perfect formatting, did you, that we're wrecking? I guess we can fix it.
No.
The point is we're gonna get the fees right.
All right, with this one, the state allows us to collect the hourly rate for the lowest person completing this job. So that's the adjustment from 15 to 27.10, is basically us putting the reasonable rate needed to complete this position. Same thing in the one, so that's body cam and in-car camera, and then the grandma request is the same thing. Basically, we're just updating it to what our cost is to have someone complete those things. The next two yellow lines, Chief has asked us to remove the police service fee. Basically, we don't loan our officers out to anyone or charge for them anymore, so we're just removing that whole line altogether.
That sounds,
Getting a little bit of space back.
that sounds weird, but actually, like, for summer games, they'll have, the sheriff's officers will go and I see Jameson back there nodding his head. And that's done, but we're not in a position where we're typically one guy, maybe two guys on at a time to have somebody loaned out, so.
Yeah.
We're taking that out.
Okay.
Same thing here with this 2710 from $15 is just, updating our rate to be reasonable in where we are. The next one is an add, it's a DNA collection fee, and this is what we pay people to do these for us, so this is, I believe, the state limit of what we can ask to collect on that DNA collection fee. Next one, utility history fee. We just give people what they ask for. We don't charge them $35 for their report, so we're asking to remove that. The next one are all rates from Jeremy as to what our adjustments were when we came in I believe, January to adjust these rates. So this is just updating our fee schedule to reference what was previously approved. The next two, we're asking to just remove both of these. We don't charge people to do a line inspection, and we don't charge them to turn their power on and off if they have something they need from the city. The next highlight is to just simplify and not have to account as to whether we're putting a single or a double man in a bucket truck, or to specify which type of bucket truck we're doing. So we're looking for it to just say bucket truck with operator, $65 an hour, 2 hour minimum. Lineman operator is basically just updating the rate.
So what am I removing? I'm removing the verbiage?
Correct?
Yeah.
Remove that and remove the whole next line. Yep. And then the next one, if we could just, basically it's just updating our rate for a lineman in 2025. The next one, Jeremy spends 3 hours per solar plan review. So this is what we are allowed to collect when someone requests to have solar turned on in their property, or solar plans reviewed.
Can you back up quick?
Yeah, we need an
What is
explanation.
a bucket without an operator?
Okay, so it's a bucket truck that our power team has to basically check things out.
Right?
And if if a resident hits something, or like we have to recoup money from them,
Right?
this is how we rate the truck, and then the man is separate.
Oh. I thought maybe it was AI or something.
No.
Or you let the person do it themselves.
So you would have the
Yeah,
two
we
charges.
let them take the truck, and if they want us to help them, we gotta pay for the guy.
Yes.
Then it should say bucket fee.
So this is gonna be continuous through our fee schedule, is we have heavy equipment from Public Works,
Yeah.
and also on the power side where it is a fee for the equipment and a fee for the operator.
The other reason this is handy is when we are doing writing grants, and we're saying what the value of donate or in-kind match is, we can say this is how much the equipment is, this is how much the guy is. Or gal, gender
Okay.
neutral.
So just, yeah, it's just worded,
It just sounds weird, huh, without operator.
The next one, is our pedestal costs have gone up, just for what it costs us to have a temporary pedestal, so that went from 150 to 200.
And by the way, in case anybody's wondering, we're not just pulling numbers out of the clear blue sky. We are trying to have them fairly whole numbers, but we have to do an analysis to find out. We can't just say this is what everybody charges, so it's what we're gonna charge. We've done a look at what is the closest we can approximate to our actual cost, and then we're making it a nice whole number, very close to that, so, yes. That's the methodology.
This is just updating some verbiage. Whenever someone has a second can, we should be charging them $4 per month per can. Where previously it was just a solid $4 fee. The county expects us to also submit $4 per can, not just the extra fee costs, so we're just adding that onto our fee schedule. Also, we no longer, Dan, if you could scroll a little bit for me.
I wanna talk about that.
Okay.
We haven't been doing that on second cans. We need to send out information to, all of our residents that have a second can. This is not a city fee, this is a county fee. We have to collect that and remit that to the county, and we have not been doing it on second cans. So, when Jerry and I realized that we had an issue with this, we wanted to first update our fee schedule, second, inform all the customers that have a second can, third, start billing it and remitting it to the county, and hopefully the county doesn't say, well, let's go back 10 years and see how much money you owe us. I don't think they're gonna do that, but I just wanted to let you know that's kind of a significant item that we just talked about.
So, on the second cans, right now it states if you have multiple cans, then there's an extra fee. So this is gonna be in addition to that extra fee?
Yes, there is a base rate that we charge our trash company of $11.83 per can per month. The county charges $4 per can per month. We have only been charged, say on 2 cans, we've been charging 2 11.83s and 1 $4 fee. We have been not charging the county's second $4 fee.
'Cause you've been charging the 211, what is
2 11s and 1
one
4.
four.
And we need to charge 2 4s. So the county has been getting shorted.
So I'm gonna owe another $4.
The $4 is just about 100% pass-through. So the $11.83 per can helps us maintain our trash trucks, our delivery drivers, all of the things on the Parowan side. The $4 per month, I believe it's $3.75 goes to the county, and then the other 25 cents is basically for us to pay for gas to get it there, because we have to transport it there the whole way as well. So that's where the $4 number came from, but we're gonna have to change that inside of the billing to get the county whole.
And this additional trash can is when you purchase a new one.
What happens when one gets damaged? Do they still replace it?
Nothing has changed there. It's replaced, unless it's on the homeowner's part, they have to pay a new can. In fact, that's what the next thing is there.
We're also asking inside of,
If it just gets old and worn out, I believe we replace it at our cost.
correct.
But if there's things people do, they'll throw hot ashes in it, guess what? You're gonna buy the city a new can for you to use, 'cause it was your
And they
neglect.
should.
So if you scroll just a tiny bit more, our old schedule used to have a $65 fee if we brought them a used can. We are not currently bringing people used cans, we're just working through the new ones. It's effectively cheaper for us to put a new can there than it is to repair old cans. So we may get to a point to where we've got some of these new cans that are in great shape that just need a very small, minimal fix, that we could look at that again. But most of us have seen what our trash cans look like, and typically when they get to the point where someone calls to say my can is broken, it's typically pretty broken above what the cost of a new can would be. These two fees, the inspection fee, and the road break fee, are basically gonna have to be an at-cost fee of what it costs for us to do it. Some of them are very simple, some of them are many more hours, so those are gonna be at cost of service, at time of need.
So I need to write in their cost, right?
Yes, please.
Oh, I guess we're not capitalizing the entire word down below.
So we renting out equipment?
No, this is
Okay.
just when we I looked at these also and said, man, a mini excavator for $35 an hour, sign me up, I've got some work. But this is when we have to bill a customer for
Okay.
something they did on their property. We needed something to signify what those bills were. So the two highlights at the bottom are basically just us updating, our wage for the lowest, person that can complete these tasks. And then we're asking to remove the part-time maintenance worker at $20 an hour with a 2-hour minimum, and just move them into our typical schedule of everyone else.
Yeah, that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
The only part-time workers we have at all are, in the Parks Department, and this is talking about Public Works, so all of our Public Works guys are full-time.
The next one under materials, we're looking to change some of the, $6 per ton plus track and operator and landfill to cost of goods at time of service. If you could spell check me there, Dan, I just wrote cost at time of service, if you could write cost of goods, because there's a fluctuation of what things cost and what the customer, or what is needed in the place. Sometimes it's road-based, sometimes it's rock, it just kinda all depends.
Can we,
That's gonna be the whole material line. So all of that road base, concrete, asphalt, dirt, rock, that's all gonna be cost of goods at time needed.
Are you comfortable if I just say cost?
Yep.
Right here, cost. Sound good? That'd be-
Sorry, I feel like I'm blowing through stuff, so if anybody wants to discuss things further, please let me know.
You are, but they know,
Oh, you're
they're
doing
gonna,
good.
they're gonna ask you a question if they, not a problem. That sound good? Everybody like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this need to be, have a separation? Yeah, that's totally different.
Mhm.
Okay, alright.
Jerry, go back, would you, where it says the water meter, where is that? No, go, scroll up, no, back the other way.
I'm getting dizzy, David.
Hmm.
Yeah, but no, where is that?
What was it?
It says, water meter, or water study, where is that?
There was water meter.
The log, where is it?
It was down to the next page.
Down the next page where we just were.
Water meter log printout?
Yeah, 'cause you talked about you didn't do that on the electric or charge.
There's a difference, what we're talking about though. Is this something that we can pull up here in the office, or is this something that Aldo or Public Works has to go get from somewhere else? 'Cause I mean, we can pull a utility bill history like that, but a water meter history log may be different. Does anybody know?
So with the new system we have that basically is app driven to where you can review your water usage pretty much by the hour. We're working people through how to utilize that, and I think this is probably something that we just missed removing.
Yeah.
Unless I'm uneducated on something else, I
Well,
don't know.
But I think that this is something from days gone past. By the way, we are moving to where we will people can get an app, and they can literally look at their own usage in real time, day to day. So that's where we're headed. So this,
But I'm just saying, if you've removed it from the other, you should remove it from this.
but that was a utility bill. I agree with you. Let's remove it. I'm saying that was a utility bill, and this is a water history log.
Right.
And I think they used to come from different places.
Okay.
Moving forward.
But doesn't it
probably
take
get
the
rid of it.
same?
And
amount
by
of
the way, it was Jeremy's
effort?
review of the electrical fees saying let's get rid of that. Aldo didn't catch that in his review of the water fees. That's why it's
So does
probably-
that require interaction with Public Works, or is that something we can do administratively in the office?
Administratively in the office.
Okay.
And I'm saying in the future, it'll be even, they won't even have to ask us to do anything if they want, so let's get rid of it.
Thank you.
It's gone. Good catch, Dave. We're removing the suspend service turn on, turn off fee.
Correct.
So, this is gonna sound I have the same question. Why are we removing that? I noticed we removed that on the power. I wasn't involved in all of that. I'm wondering why, 'cause don't we have to go out? Or is this just assuming we can do it from the office?
So, we cannot do it from the office, but we've just been doing this as a service to our residents. And in my time since October, I've never charged someone, and I've taken a look, and they haven't charged anyone prior to. So I'm kind of, why keep a fee that we're never going to charge?
This fee was not like, oh, I have a plumber coming and I need my water turned off. This fee was when people were going on vacation, I want my water turned off. And then they would come and they would do it like 5 or 6 times a year, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, and then that's why they.
And we're sending somebody out to,
That's why that was implemented.
that's what I was thinking. This is a pretty standard fee, and there's usually a real cost behind it. But I wasn't aware of the conversation, so.
Currently in the office, we are putting notes in when we interact with residents into their Polaris account about things like this. I'm fine if we wanna leave this. If we're gonna do this, you guys can decide what do we wanna do as a service to residents, and what do we wanna do to make it monetarily to where they're not gonna call us to do as much.
So all I'm thinking is if we're gonna, at their option, so user fees, the principle behind user fees is if somebody is going to incur a cost that force the city to incur a cost, either it gets subsidized by the rates or taxes, depending on whether it's utility or general fund, then the person incurring that cost should cover it. That's the idea behind any sort of fee. Is there a real cost, or is it nominal? If it's nominal, or if we choose to do it as a value-added service, and everybody, what goes around comes around to everybody, and it's all good. But if this is literally somebody that could impact the system, and we are incurring a real cost, and the use of a guy or gal, an hour, what do you guys think? So we're physically going out and turning something off.
I think we leave the fee. I mean, it's disruptive to have to go do that.
Yeah, I think we need to leave the fee.
And I don't think it's something that people should just be able to request and get for free, because there is a real cost associated with sending someone out.
maybe we need
and
to start
it
charging
doesn't benefit the
the-
entire community.
In the cases where we're physically turning somebody on and off.
So do,
Now, with electric, I'm pretty sure they do that right in the office. We're never sending a person out.
we do still have some manual,
So we should clarify in
connection
electric,
disconnects.
let's leave it in electric and
With-
say a manual shut-off incurs the fee and an in-office fee doesn't.
With electric, the only time I've had that situation arise in the office is when we're turning them off for lack of payment. And with that, we charge $100
There is
for
a
lack of
fee with
payment.
that, yeah.
So I also don't know if this is, you know, if we get to a point to where we also turn off water, would this fee come into that spot? Also, could I recommend that we maybe add a fee after 2 times, right? Kind of give people, say we have snowbirds that want it turned on and off, but I think 1 or 2 may be reasonable for a resident expectation, but if they're asking us to continue to send people.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. How can you differentiate between somebody that's continually doing it and then maybe just an occasional or once?
Maybe the first one free.
So we are putting that in their service notes
Yeah.
inside of Polaris when they call and request things turned on and off. There's a trail that goes to the Public Works team, and then we add it into their service notes in Polaris to where we have a paper trail for all of these things. To where it's up to you guys if we wanna make them all $25 or if we wanna put a number.
I think you ought to put a number. I think there ought to be some discretion.
I don't think so. I think you just charge it and you charge it. I think it's ridiculous if you gotta go out there and turn their water on and off 'cause they wanna go on vacation.
Well, that's why you'd have a number.
In my
A
experience,
number for what? How many times?
There's-
Like, I think it's irrelevant.
in my experience, this has been snowbirds. This has been people
Yeah, it's
that
not your job.
leave once or twice and come back to our, we haven't had, there may be some out there, we haven't had many just 1-week vacations or things like that. Most of the time it's been, I'm gone for the winter, I'm back for the spring, those types of things. And they're kind of looking to turn their thermostats down to where their water doesn't freeze inside the house, to where they try and winterize their house.
Which is
And we can
great.
just include that as a cost. It does actually
Yeah.
cost the city something to do.
I wouldn't do it for free.
Well, I think you should have discretion, because I think there should be reason, I mean, once, for a reason like Jerry's described, I don't think's unreasonable. But if it's a continual thing, they'll have a paper trail.
Just charge the fee.
What does everybody else think?
Right, if
This
we
is
don't have consensus on this, should we vote on
Yeah.
an item? Okay, so let's make a motion and let's vote on it.
Well, I move that we have, use discretion and set a number like 1 or 2, and give, like they've got, a paper trail where they can follow it, and then use discretion as far as charging the fee if they exceed that.
I don't like the discretion part, because it's up to one person. And
The
what
number
happens
is
if
the
next person-
discretion.
So we have a motion, do we have a second? All right, in that case, the motion dies. Do we have a, substitute motion?
I propose a $25 per occurrence to, suspend service.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Just
To charge a fee.
minus the yellow.
So we have a motion and a second. If there isn't any additional discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries to remove.
I'd like to vote nay, Mayor.
Okay.
You didn't say anything.
Nay.
4 ayes, 1 nay. The highlight was removed. Thank you. Thank you for
Just a little
voicing
note
your
on
nay.
that one, I didn't turn off my water when I went on vacation 2 years ago. $15,000 in damage from a small leak in a toilet. So, $25 would have been pretty cheap.
Well, and most houses do have a shut-off, a main shut-off in the house. This is for us to send Public Works out to shut it off in the meter box.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we do not have any meters, unlike electric, that a lot of them we can shut off, remotely. We can't with any water meters, so, and that's not really a thing that we're gonna redo all our meters for anytime soon, so. It's a valid discussion and debate, so, okay. So, water meter deposit?
So we're talking about hydrant meters here, and these are things that we rent to people doing construction and other things where they have to do dirt control. And this one is, the deposit's $1,250 to check the meter out. The old verbiage used to say check deposited after 3 days. Just personally, I don't like to keep their money floating around in the office. If we receive a check, I want to deposit it and put it in the bank. And if they come back in to get their deposit back, we'll cut them a check and get the money back out to them. The couple of other things in here is we have some verbiage. A daily use is $25 plus $5,000 $5 per thousand over 5,000 gallons. So basically, we're giving them the first $5,000 on their rental fee. This isn't previously how it's been billed. So prior to us in the office, they've been billing it from zero. The fee schedule just states over 5,000 gallons is when we start billing. And that seems reasonable, especially with the water conditions that we have. So we're basically asking that we remove the first 5,000 free gallons off of their hydrant use and charge them 100% on the water that they use. So we're asking to remove all of those, remove over 5,000 gallons. And then lastly, we are adding
Hang
a
on,
line.
let's stop there. That's a big thing.
This is an ordinance, isn't it?
This is temporary hydrant meters. This is not our
okay.
rate schedule for water.
Okay.
So, the history of where this comes from was that we had a base rate on usage at a house, therefore there was base rate for a hydrant, but this is day use, $25 plus $5,000 per thousand, $5 per thousand. When Jerry and I originally talked about this, I said, we are doing a rate study. We can have the rate study also cover this if we want to, but in the meantime, this was really kind of weird and vague, and we thought, well, we probably ought to address it. We'll probably address it as we touch the rate study anyways. What does everybody think about that as it sits?
Doesn't that ordinance say 8,000 now?
No, it did, and we put it back to 5.
Okay. It was put back?
It was put back.
Okay.
But Jerry, you're saying historically we were charging just the way it is if you remove the highlight. Okay.
They only paid overage.
That's what we've been doing.
They paid $25 a day, and they only paid overage over 5,000.
So is that water loading station being used?
Yeah.
So then they still want to have these for convenience, I guess.
Oh, these get used like crazy.
Is it for more construction than anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somebody's building a house, right now, they're using them like crazy on these construction projects, because you can go to any hydrant in the city and put this meter on it and hook a hose up and use it. Whereas with the other, they have to have a water truck and drive it on site. This, they can just have a fire hose.
So what's the rate at the loading station?
I don't know, and is it in here?
Just shouldn't it be kind of comparable?
Let's go see if it's up here. Do you remember seeing it,
No.
Jerry?
I do not recall seeing it. This is absolutely going to be a guess, but I believe it's going to be $5 per thousand gallons. But I don't believe it's in here.
We need to put it in, but we may not be able to put it in right now. We don't know, but it needs to be in here.
Yeah, 'cause shouldn't those be somewhat compatible? I mean,
Yeah,
loading
the
station.
difference, well, I guess we're already collecting our deposit, because these meters are not cheap.
No.
We're collecting our deposit, meaning if they break it, we take that out of the deposit to replace it. So
But
we're
you're
really just talking about
$25
water.
plus
It should be the
five.
same, because
Yeah.
it's kind of a, Whether it's commercial, whether it's industrial, whether it's ag, it is a non-residential use for these hydrant meters
Yeah.
and the loading station.
Right.
So I agree, the methodology, the principle behind it is the same. We should link them.
Yep.
You wanna come back to this, but that means we can't adopt it tonight.
Yeah, well, yeah, 'cause we need to solidify that.
We need to have that in there. It is programmed.
Yeah.
Is there any way, do you have a resource that if we table this to later in the meeting, you could check that?
I can try it and see what I can work out.
Okay, let's keep going through the other stuff. When we get done, maybe we can put this on pause. Jerry can see if he can research it. But let's add in here then a, what do we wanna call that? The
Water
loading
filling
station?
Yeah, water loading station.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's do the other stuff. Damaged meter.
Damaged meter was a complete ad. We have had some meters get dropped off the back of the truck and drugged to the city office and like a handle returned. So we needed something inside of our fee schedule. These are very expensive. We also have to build them, and we just kind of want them to treat it like it's a $1,200 piece of machinery that they don't own when they return it back to us. So we've had some broken handles and some different things, but we've also had some fully destroyed meters.
So how does
that up under
deposit
deposit.
apply?
Let's put that up here.
So the deposit, would that cover any of that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we've done previously, is pulled it out of their deposit upon return, but just the cost of the meter is extremely close to $1,250.
Right.
They've gotten really expensive.
And then you're adding 20%.
Which is our time to order, time to put it together, basically just giving them some skin in the game. The meter is very flush to $1,250 as far as what does a brand new one cost.
Okay, everybody comfortable with that?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, Jerry, the deposit should equal the cost of a new meter.
Right, but with the 20%
So-
cost is our cost to repair it too, so we're adding an additional.
But if you're gonna replace it, a total new meter.
It's total replacement, $12.50 would be the top. As
So
long as
I'm
that's
just
what it
saying
costs.
your deposit should equal what it'd cost to replace that meter.
So part
Yeah,
of this
agreed.
is we have a lot of established people, and we contemplated, do we increase the deposit from $1,250 to $1,500? Because
Yeah.
just cost of meter is within, I think it's $25 of $1,250. They're that expensive. So we contemplated, do we increase the number?
So the 20% would take, 1,500 would take care of that, so maybe you need to increase that deposit.
How about we say this, repair cost. Repair or replacement cost.
But shouldn't you change that deposit amount?
No, if he said the deposit is, it's
Commensurate
within
with the-
$25 of the
with the
cost of a
cost.
meter, the deposit is the cost of a meter.
And the
Including the
fee.
20% though, is what-
But we don't need to do a 20% if we're just replacing the whole thing. The only 20% is if we're repairing it, and that's our time.
then why would anybody wanna repair it?
Well, let's say it's $100 repair.
Oh, I'm saying if it's gonna cost plus 20% plus 12.50, then.
Aldo explained it to me that there's some labor in building those meters. I don't know, I haven't physically done it, but it's not, you don't just order the meter and it ships completely built. There's gates and things that they have to put together on it. I'm uneducated to how that works out, but
Well, what it is
There's
it's a
some-
valve system that goes on the actual meter. It
But
is-
a new
it is
meter will be
purchasing some parts and
$12.50.
assembling it, is what it is.
Okay, so if a new meter's 12.50, that,
Are we comfortable with repair or replacement cost?
Yeah.
We'll tell them what it costs, and we'll factor in a little bit of labor.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all of them except for that, unless there's anything else that the council had a question on any.
I had a question on the very front, on the, what was it, the business license fees and the pool. Just a question, where's the, no, back, at the very front, very first.
We're up at the
That's
top,
page one.
first page.
Well, okay. No, where was it where it says that, okay, right there, okay, $60 after March 1st and then $100. So is that another late fee, or is that the business license cost, after April 1st, 60 days, $100?
So that, is that an additional fee?
No, licenses cost $50 if they renew on time. The thing is that we renew these and we get them in the mail the last week of February, and then everyone comes in to pay on March 1st, and we have to redo it again. So we're trying to get them to renew inside of the renewal period. If they renew prior to the deadline, it is $50. If they renew late, starting on March 1, from March 1 to April 1, a business license costs $60, and after April 1st, it's $100.
Okay.
These are only for, that doesn't clearly state that. It's like if a brand new person starts a business, their license isn't $100 if they come in after first. Those are renewals. The base fee is a new license or a renewal. The after March 1 and the after April 1 should be a renewal cost.
Yeah, that's where I was confused.
So you want me to say renewal by
Yeah.
these here, or
Please.
by all of them?
No, just the two afters.
March and April.
We don't
If
penalize
we
a new.
say that, it might sound like
It makes
every
it
time you
weird.
renew it, that's when it's due and that's how much it costs. So let's say this, let's say business license fee, you know what? I see what you're saying. And I'm trying to figure out how to say it the best.
I think that's good. I think
Oh,
that
that
clarifies.
clears it up.
If renewal is late, after March, things, after whatever.
Yeah, that's.
So if they come in middle of the year, we charge them the full fee, we don't prorate it, and then it expires at the same time as everybody's expires.
Correct.
Just clarifying that for everybody.
One thing that I missed that I had written onto page 1, and I don't think I said this, at times Parowan Rex struggles getting coaches to volunteer to coach teams.
That's right.
So Anna has requested if we could provide one complimentary fee if a parent volunteers to coach, waived per household, and that will be capped as coaching vacancies are filled, basically to try and incentivize parents to get involved in a coaching front.
I think it sounds like smart.
That's fair.
We need volunteers, we need coaches.
Yeah.
So we could write volunteer coaches fee will be waived for one participant per household based on availability.
Or if there's more per household that want to do it, you're just gonna let one waiver
one
per
to-
household. I mean, you could have two that wanna help out of a household, but maybe just give them one variance. Does that make sense?
Per sport?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Should we go to the pool?
Is it down or up?
I think it's back, isn't it?
I think it's up.
Or up, what, yeah.
Full rental.
Right here.
Okay, this is the same, except you've added, where did I read that? No, that's not, okay, 15. Okay, 15-day pass, should we say, because that's a punch pass that can be used, I know it's per day, but per,
15 punches.
yeah.
What's the question?
Just clarify that
So
punch
should it say visit
pass.
instead of day? 15
Something-
visit punch pass? Are you saying that they wouldn't be able to?
No, just to clarify it like everything,
So do you like it saying 15 visit punch pass?
you know, so they don't think it's only good for 15 days.
Oh, whoops, I hit the wrong button. I hit the page button instead of the left button.
Okay, one little question on that one. Can we give a senior discount? It's for the bobbers, not me.
So, I
That's
wanna,
that half.
I wanna discuss this. Not just bobbers, but overall, John didn't live through the pool wars. I'm not busting on you, John. I'm just saying, when we went through the pool wars and we were in the middle of restarting the pool and establishing the rates, like I have a similar request. I've had the fire department ask me, like, what the heck? We used to get free stuff. We're doing a whole ton of stuff for the city. Like, why isn't this a thing? Why are we not doing that? And I told them, I said, listen, the pool closed because we were doing, because it was a heavy subsidy, and when we're heavily subsidizing things, then what happens is we're not setting aside the money for the capital improvements. Things get into disrepair, and that's how we got to the situation we were. So our goal was, let's try to make sure this thing stays as close to the black as possible. The main reason we were not in the black was because we were pretty much giving away everything across the board. There were some people paying some fees, but almost everybody, a lot of people had an excuse to be free or extremely discounted to the pool before. So when we looked at this before, we were like, okay, we've got to, if we're going to provide discounts, you remember when we had this discussion on resident, non-resident, we had this whole big debate. We like, and what about employees, and what about residents versus non-residents? And we're like, let's get this thing established, let's get it open, let's get it running, let's see if we can figure out a way to make money with it before we come back and start revisiting this. So, we've had a request from the fire department.
Again?
We've now had a request, yep. The firefighters have been asking the new chief, and he's like, hey, what's the deal? And I was like, boy, Alan, there's a whole story here. Yes, we agree with the principle of it entirely. We also want to give our other employees some sort of discount. You get free golf if you work here, or, you know, whatever. Do we want to open the door to some justifiable discounts? We also used to have family passes. We also used to have a season pass.
Yeah, but I thought we were gonna ride
Daily
this out
pass.
for a few years to help get the pool to recoup some money.
Well, that's the reason why we are where we are. Do we want to do a holding pattern? Do we want to do some analysis of the pool profitability? We had a half year, then we have now 1 full year, and now almost another full year. What do we want to do? I just given you the background, John.
Okay.
I'm not trying to shut you down.
Not me, just the boppers.
I think
So, we should just keep it the same for a year or two and
Yeah.
see how
Yes,
we sit.
please.
I think we need
Do
to
not
ride this
wanna
out.
go through that again.
Well,
Thank
make
you.
an
Right.
analysis.
Ride it out.
Well, and then you look at the whole thing as a whole. Like, where we started with the pool being closed, the community rallied to get it open, like, a tremendous, I know you guys all know this, tremendous amount of volunteer hours. I feel like, let's not slap those volunteers in the face by giving away all of these free services.
Well, and then we decided we were going to have the free day. It was a give back to the community, and we have been doing that. And John came and cooked and everybody's helped. So that was like, well, we'll do a free day, but we're gonna charge everybody to get in. So that's kind of where we're at.
And I've been talked to again about the plaque, and I do intend on doing a plaque. It's just when I submitted all the names for everyone who volunteered, it was an over $3,000 plaque. And so either I was going to pay for the plaque, or I was going to come to the council, and it also felt like a slap in the face to donors to say, oh, we're using the city money to buy a plaque. So I'm still working on the plaque, just so everyone knows. I actually made a commitment to a community member that I would have something figured out before the end of the year. So we'll get a plaque up there. But I agree, it's a sensitive topic, only
is
because
sensitive.
of we didn't have money to replace things or repair things or to do things, and we just didn't want history to repeat itself.
Dan, could we go to the pool, Randall, before you get out of there?
Can I interject on a little bit of pool finances? it is expensive, the regular monthly upkeep of the pool. We're well over $1,000 a month in chemicals, we're over $600 a month in gas. That's just a couple of the small things, not counting the labor that goes into the pool. A 15 punch pass is $2.66 a day. My opinion is we might want to get a little bit more research on profitability of the pool. And I'm not saying profitability, but like, how much are we subsidizing the pool before we continue to extend other things? $266 is pretty reasonable considering the checks that we have to write to keep the pool operating.
So two things, we need an analysis, we want a final report of the pool rehab, which we're gonna call the end of the fiscal year that just ended, the end of the, cause we were doing still major capital things in the spring and stuff like that, so we need to have that report, and, we could do a report. The problem with the pool, our fiscal year splits the pool right in the middle, and if we make changes for a season, it's gonna be half of this fiscal year and half of that fiscal year. I wonder if we should just literally go back and do a pool season report. And we now have 3 full pool seasons after we close here at Labor Day. So let's do that, Jerry. You and me, October, when we're not running around with the audit, we'll do let's see how profitable the pool was when we remove the capital stuff. And we'll say, okay, this is where we were at. And of course, this year we're opening the concessions, and that's gonna be another aspect of that as well. And another debate, as we were debating what do we sell pop for, you know? Are we trying to actually generate some revenue, or are we trying to do it as cheap as possible? And all these things are part of that, so let's do that. Is everybody good with that? Dave, was there something else you were gonna say, Councilmember?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, this is a new fee, this $50 per hour after the first 2 hours. Isn't that new? That wasn't on there before.
That's what she's been charging, it just hasn't been on the fee schedule.
Okay, but that's what she has been charging, $50 after the first 2.
So some of the things are just kind of cleaning up, what did we actually do versus what did we have written on our fee schedule?
Okay. And then the rest, and then the payments, that's just
And by the way, I don't know if that's enough. We
Yeah.
sell out on these.
Nowhere near enough.
Our calendar's full, and we need to be sure.
We've made this thing into quite the facility.
Mhm.
It's not quite done, but we've added lights and music and all, like, it's nice. It's a nice facility. As a venue, that's really cheap. And if we weren't selling out, then fine, that's the market rate. But we sell out. We're probably undercharging on that.
We probably need to just put pool on the agenda for a financial review as well as a forward-looking for next year
I like it.
on fees, because if we're not covering our lifeguards in that extra hour, that doesn't make any sense to charge $50 if we're spending $80 to stay open for another hour. I'm just throwing numbers out there, I don't really know.
If anything, I bet we're close to cost.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Callie asked if we're reserving the cabanas, if we're leasing those out or whatever on a daily basis. People wanna be closer to the pool than those, so I think we need to kind of think through that. We've been letting people use them. I think she does still reserve them.
I've been to
If somebody wants
someone
exclusivity,
paid to reserve the cabanas on a weekend day, to where they do put signs up and say reserved from this time to this time, and you have your specific amount of time inside of the cabana.
we need to put that on here.
Yeah, we need to have that.
Oh, it's on there.
Large pavilion?
It's on here.
Oh, it is.
$40 for a resident, 2 hour for large pavilion.
Okay.
So with we probably can push it.
But we
into
let
the
people
survey.
use them unless they want exclusivity. If we wanna increase revenue, we probably ought to say, they're out of bounds unless you reserve them. I don't know. Now we have more shade. When we opened it first, we didn't have really much shade, but we have a lot of shade now.
Well, I think you ought to go and do what you were talking, do an evaluation of your actual cost and your income and so forth, and excluding capital expenses or any of that we were trying to decide how much was left over from before and that type of thing. We need just the operating cost.
So this needs its own line item in October or November. We don't have to do it in October. We need to do it this winter. The other thing that we've been talking about is how to reserve the pool for programming, not during the evening, but during the day and the morning. If somebody wants to rent a lane or 2 lanes, they wanna do classes. As people maybe know, we've had, swim lessons in there. We want to create a uniform methodology to be able to rent things, and the way all the other facilities do it is per lane per hour. And if you could rent 2 lanes per hour, you can rent a lane per hour. If you're gonna rent the whole facility for programming, for an hour at 10 o'clock or something like that, we're gonna shift to this per lane per hour model. Next year, our swim lessons will be that way. And so, that's gonna be part of that discussion as well. I've already talked with our current, person doing swim lessons that we're moving to that model. What we have been doing is saying, we'll take a percentage of your gross revenue for teaching lessons. We're gonna move it to a per lane per hour. And then it's good across the board. If somebody wanted to come in and teach water aerobics, or if somebody wanted, whatever.
Or a physical therapist,
Physical
or,
therapist or
you
something
know,
like
a
that.
treatment center or something.
Or they just wanna come in and do lap swim, and I want that lane for an hour for me. We're like, all right, this is how much it is per lane per hour. Okay,
So do we need to
I'm gonna write down
leave
back.
this open until you find out about the water station thing, or can we approve it contingent upon getting that plugged in? I mean, where do we go from here with Jerry standing
Well,
here
if
next
Jerry
to
can run and do it, let's just table it for now and come back to it.
Okay, motion to table and come back to this later in the agenda.
I'll make a motion to table the, fee schedule till later in the meeting, if we can get some reports.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Jerry.
Good job.
All right, we're gonna move now past our action agenda to our work agenda, and Jameson now knows more about Parowan's fee structure, than he ever wanted to know, I'm sure. And you're probably like, wow, you guys really do deep dives into things, but we do.
No,
And
it's just,
we care a lot about everything, you can tell. Just talking about these items, we're all just super high interest.
yeah, I was just texting my wife and telling her, you know what, I'm gonna hunt out the fee schedule meeting. Your flashlight on your phone. Oh, my flashlight's not on my phone, thank you.
But let me quickly introduce Jameson.
Yeah.
So I met him, with a group, just a tour group. They held an open house at the hospital to meet the new president. And I went to that and, was very impressed with him, his approach to his position, his true caring for our community. And he gave us a tour around the facility. We went to the cancer center. We went to the proposed areas that were under construction. We talked a lot about why these decisions were made and how important the care was of the patients that come to the hospital. And I just was very impressed with you right out of the gate. So we appreciate you being here. He's been trying to get here for a little while, and it's great to have you here this evening, and thank you for waiting for your item. And I didn't realize fee structure was gonna take so long, but generally we don't move until we're done with action.
Absolutely, no, thank you, and, I was gonna make a joke, but in all seriousness, it means a lot, it would mean a lot to me as a resident of Cedar City, having the Cedar City Council be so thorough, so I'm sure that your residents are very appreciative of your thoroughness, because it means that you're taking your calling seriously, and I appreciate that. And thank you so much, Madam Mayor, for that introduction. You know, my family's 10 months in Cedar City and in Iron County in southern Utah have been our best 10 months of our family life. My wife and I did live in southern Utah attending, it was Dixie State at the time, but Utah Tech now. We did live and we met there, and we always had made a commitment to ourselves that we were gonna try everything that we could. Do you want me to wait, or?
Scott?
He has a bad habit of doing that.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll just talk a little bit louder, I guess. We wanted to get back here, and it's been great for our family. This community has been fantastic, and I'm excited to present to you all about the things that we're doing here at the hospital. I think it's very important for us to recognize that while we reside in Cedar City proper, we view Iron County, even beyond Iron County, really rural southwest Utah, as our service area. And we want to ensure that we're here, ready and available for everyone. So, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I'll give you some hospital updates, a couple things that are really important to us, and we want to make sure are on your radar as a city council. And, you know, as I come into these presentations, I always and I'll make sure you have my cell phone number. I hope that you hold us as a hospital accountable to providing great care for your residents. And with my cell phone number, if you ever run into anything personally or within your constituencies that you see you'd like to learn more about, or that you'd like to highlight, or that you'd like to offer as a suggestion, that invitation exists to you all as city council members 365 days a year. So, just really quickly about me, originally from northern Utah, Syracuse, if you know where that's from. My family's as old as the dirt there, and some of my northern Utah family are like, why are you living down south? And I say, well, come live down here and you'll find out quickly for yourself. I've got my beautiful wife, Shelby. We have 2 daughters, Charlotte and Renly, both of them little girls, Charlotte 4, Renly 10 months. And yep, when I'm not running the hospital, I'm a full-time dad, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So just really quickly, and I will try to be brief here, out of respect for everyone's time, but our mission, we start everything we say with our mission, and that's helping people live the healthiest lives possible. I'll tell you, I've joined Intermountain 10 months ago. I came from another health system, which I would consider to be a great health system. It was a for-profit health system, which, again, provided great value to their communities, but the mission of Intermountain is different, and we do live that mission. And a lot of that's demonstrated in several ways, and not just what I do within the 4 walls of the hospital and our amazing caregivers do, but what we do in the communities as well, which I'll highlight for you. So just a little bit about our hospital, which I'm sure you're all well aware of. We are an anomaly of a rural hospital. We have good size, we have a lot of services, and we're really proud for what we offer. Some of the key services we offer that I do think our residents should appreciate as unique in nature compared to other rural facilities is we have a world-class cancer center. We have pretty much every, what we call bread and butter surgical service, but general community surgical service, which you can offer, specifically orthopedic care, women's care, and general surgery. And then we have full service imaging. Not a lot of rural centers have imaging services all the way through MRI and PET CT scan, which is for cancer as well as for some cardiac illness. And so we're really proud to have that. We're proud to offer it to the community. The community deserves it. They don't deserve to have to travel far for services like that. So outside of those services, as far as the hospital proper, we have 28 medical surgical beds. Those are your routine hospital beds, 8 intensive care unit beds, 14 mom-baby beds. Those can be flexed around for delivering or for after birth. And then 12 ER rooms currently, but that's going to expand by 9 with our construction project, which I'll talk about. And then 5 ORs, we do endoscopy, and then full service outpatient and imaging and diagnostics. So here is our board member, or our board of trustees. Several of these names I'm sure you will recognize. Ava was planning on being here tonight. She wanted me to extend her sincere regrets that she's not here. She had a family emergency that she had to tend to, but she was really excited that we were here sharing our story. I love this board. They care about their community. They want to make sure that the hospital is providing the best care possible, so we're really honored to work with them. We have strived, I think this is important for you all to recognize as well, or be updated on, we have really strived to have good representation within our communities of those we serve. So we have some FLDS representation, we have representation from the tribe, we have representation from other major institutions, SUU, Southwest Tech, the school district, and then industry and municipal leaders as well. We are a not-for-profit health system, which really means that the community is our shareholder. We try to make 3 cents on the dollar and give everything else that we earn back to our caregivers and to the community, and we're really proud of that. Our commitment as a nonprofit health system is that the value we provide to the community is equal to or greater than what would be our tax burden. We still pay property taxes, but other taxes that we do not have to incur as a nonprofit. We make sure that we can use those funds to provide benefit back to the community. So here is my slide to highlight how we do that. Our total gift that we give to Iron County in an annual basis equates to about $67 million. That consists of charity care, bad debt, capital investments, and then community benefit, which includes education, things like having Ryan Huber, who is the athletic trainer at Parowan High School, that we subsidize for the school district, things about having dietitians, educators continually going out, as well as everything that we do with the communities to provide education. So We are proud to say that not only do we exceed our tax benefit, we more than double our tax benefit that would be incurred if we were a for-profit institution. So, is it gonna let me go back here? Back. Trying to go back, let's see. Nope, I'm frozen. Okay. All right. Just a quick snapshot, and I will try to pick up the pace for you all here. We provide over 200,000 encounters for those we serve, and then, like I said, we provide about over $4.9 million in charity care outright. If you include our bad debt, which is not chasing folks to collections, we're over $15 million that we incur as a facility. Some of our recognitions, and the only one I'll talk about here, even though we're proud of all of these, is every year there's an association of rural hospitals called the National Rural Health Association, and they recognize top hospitals around the country, and they designate 20 hospitals for that recognition. There's only one hospital in the entire country that has been recognized as a top 20 hospital for 10 years in a row, which is as long as we've been doing the this recognition, and that's Cedar City Hospital. So, incredibly proud of it. This is objective. It's not just a survey of people who think that the hospital has good food. It's really people, it's looking at things that you'd want to know about, right? Infections, complications, risks, and other social equity determinants that we look at. Why did I come here? I moved here from Palm Beach, Florida. Before that, I was in Salt Lake City. I was at really big, exciting hospitals. We were doing a lot of really neat things. I was walking into heart surgeries every day saying, my gosh, that's amazing. Or seeing tumors pulled out of brains. But it's different here. It's really different here. And when we moved here, I quickly found out why I came here. So when we moved here from Florida, my daughter was born at 28 weeks. It was our 5th day coming back into town. If you don't know, 28 weeks, that's about 2.5 months too early for a baby to be here. And you're kind of living on the cusp of life. So she was in a NICU for 2.5 months. And the distance from our house to the NICU was about 52 minutes. The distance from Cedar City Hospital to St. George Regional Hospital is 52 minutes. That's even greater from Parowan. That's a daily discussion with my wife of who's going to watch our other daughter. That's a daily discussion with my wife about what she's going to do for work, about who's going to go get the groceries. There's residents of this community who are having those daily discussions when they need to go get healthcare services that are distant. And so my personal vision and mission for the hospital is to keep people close to home. Our cancer center, for example, patients have to go in 3-4 times a week. That's the difference between someone being able to keep their job and working with their employer and saying, hey, you know what, I'm just going to run down to Cedar City Hospital, get my treatment, and then I'll be back after lunch, versus, hey, I'm going to have to go out on leave for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then while you're taking care of your cancer, having to figure out how you're going to financially withstand that. So we are so wholeheartedly committed to this community and providing everything we can, which is why we are growing. And we are actively growing, and we're very proud of our growth. So we're expanding the emergency department. We currently see about 22,000 emergency department visits every year. This year we're trending for closer to 24,000. If you divide that by 9 rooms, that's a lot of patients. And then when you add on top of that, that we hold anywhere from 2 to 3 patients in our emergency department for over 24 to 48 hours while they wait for a behavioral health bed, that's a lot of patients actually through 6 to 7 rooms. So we're really excited about our expansion there. We're growing our cancer services. We're going to expand our cancer center. We're adding new imaging. We're bringing our PET CT scanner out of that big ugly trailer that's in front of the campus and bringing it into the hospital. We're adding a second CT scanner so that we can do biopsies. I think it's crazy that a patient can receive all of this great cancer treatment here, but if you have to have a biopsy to determine that you have cancer, you're going down to St. George. And so we're adding that second CT scanner specifically for that reason. We're building a new medical office building, which will allow us to recruit anywhere from 10 to 20 new providers into the community. We're actively growing services. We're going to bring spine surgery back up to Cedar City. We're going to bring vascular care back to Cedar City. We're going to grow urology, behavioral health, women's health. We're now going to have maternal fetal medicine in Cedar City and in Iron County for the first time in several years. And that we won't stop there. We will continue to grow for the community. We have the wholehearted support of Intermountain because they see that this is a growing region, with patients who deserve high quality care, and we're gonna continue to answer the call. We are purchasing land and more land, outside of our hospital proper so that we can have more clinics. I've talked to our strategy team before I came here about the clinic here in Parowan, and it is on our short list for 2026 projects. And so we're really optimistic that we'll have funding to build out that new clinic and get it out of the trailer here in the next year or two. So, we've kept it on there. We never have a strategy discussion, and you'll have my assurance on this. We do never have a strategy discussion about Iron County without talking about that clinic specifically, because we want that clinic to thrive. Bryan Head is going to continue to grow, and we want that clinic to be a spot where folks who are up vacationing to come down and get quick care, as well as serving the community residents here. But as that grows, we need that clinic. We don't want patients to have to come down to our emergency department, and we're really committed to that. And let me think about what else I would want to say there. Nope, a lot of capital. We're probably gonna have about $70 million in capital coming into the hospital over the next 3 to 4 years. And that will be matched with about 10 to 20 new physician or other providers to come and expand our services, whether that's medical or behavioral. And we're incredibly excited about it. We want to get patients close to home. I would invite you all to become familiar with the provisions of the Big Beautiful Bill and the impacts of Medicaid and what that could mean for residents in our communities. The hospital associations, hospitals and healthcare professionals in general, we have a pretty bipartisan agreement that Medicaid is a good thing and we want more people to have Medicaid, and I'll tell you why, is because if you don't, then those individuals aren't getting routine healthcare services, and they're going to go to the emergency department anyway. And when they go to the emergency department, the dollar does get passed, and it gets passed down to other individuals, whether that's in premiums or increased healthcare expenses. So it is a good program. I am supportive of some of the things that are in there. I think that some of the things we need to make sure that we're accountable with our resources. That being said, the impact will be real, and there are residents of Iron County who are on Medicaid who could go without in future. And so I'd invite you all to stay close to that. As we get more information, we'll share that with the municipalities. We have a very close working relationship with our representatives and senators, as well with our congresswoman. So we are very aware of that. There are some provisions that will bring about $500 million of funds to the states specifically for rural health and improving rural health. So that is a positive about the bill, but long story short, just lean in, understand that there are some impacts for rural health, and we're all over that because we want to make sure we continue to serve the community. And we'll invite you guys to the ribbon cutting of our new emergency department when that opens up. But other than that, we really consider it a privilege to serve Parowan. We consider them very, very much a part of our service area, and we won't ever change that. We're committed to you all, and like I said, I think my wrap-up would be, I want to make sure each of you have my cell phone number. Please hold the hospital accountable. I have no doubt that we're going to live up to the expectations, but the residents of Parowan deserve the best, and we're committed to providing the best, and we're honored to do that. So, Madam Mayor, that is my presentation. Any questions for me?
One question, Jameson. Yeah. Is the clinic you're talking about here in Parowan on First West and 200 South? Is that where you're talking?
I don't know the exact address. It's the only one in town. It's the trailer clinic.
No, that's the property that the IHC owns.
Yep.
He's talking about the clinic that's down on Main Street.
Right, but is that property where you're talking about putting a clinic, building one in the future?
Build it on the land that we own.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the plan. Thank you for the question. Any other questions?
No, we appreciate you,
Okay.
your standard of
Thank you all.
care.
Thank you for your time.
So what's your cell number?
I wouldn't give that over you.
Yeah, I'm fine for it. I'm trying to share. 801-645-4293. if any resident is listening and cares enough to text me about their feedback too, I'd welcome it, so, yep, there you go, and if you guys wouldn't mind just getting that shared around, that'd be great.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you don't have to stay.
Wow.
Appreciate it. So our next item is actually the Prime West LLC annexation. I didn't know if Jerry wanted to quickly do that, or is there something you could do kinda quick and get that closed out?
So I've looked in our records, I have talked to Aldo, and I have driven down to the water fill station, and I have the same amount of information as when I left here. So, given that, I propose that we make it, the same fee that we're using out of a hydrant meter and create the billing at the water station to mimic what we're charging people to use a hydrant meter, just to kind of keep it across the board the same fee.
Well, we can't do that because the hydrant meter right now only has a daily fee, and down there is purely a gallon.
$5 per 1,000 gallons is the rate that we charge people on a monthly rate to use the hydrant meter.
So I would counter propose that we just don't have that on our fee, 'cause I think what we have is good. My concern is if we just arbitrarily change that down there, we get a lot more gallon, well, I don't know if we do down there. What do you think about that proposal?
I think we could probably approve the fee structure and contingent upon that getting resolved, because I don't know that there's programming involved with that. I know that there's probably quite a bit more to it than we just say we're gonna make it be that. I'm not sure.
No, you're right about that.
'Cause you'd wanna make sure you're not charging more at that loading station, you know, than the other rate on the hydrants on that.
I mean, it can be reprogrammed. It has to be programmed with a USB, drive. We have to call the company. They send us a file. We put it on the USB drive. You go down, you reset it, you plug it in. It can be done. We can simply leave the water loading station off our fee schedule and add.
I think we should, and then just make it contingent on, you know, getting that resolved.
Just remember that we need to come back and touch it.
So I'll also make a note on my end to confirm what we're actually doing down there and make sure that it wasn't something that was programmed at inception that isn't in line with us maintaining our cost for water.
So we're comfortable with a day use, $25 plus $5 per 1,000. Weekly use, $35 per week, plus $5 per 1,000. And monthly, $100. We've gotta have the per 1,000, right?
Correct.
Oh, do I not have that on the screen?
Yeah, could you bring it
I'm over here
back
working
up?
on it, sorry.
Pretty loud.
I wonder, I could feel everybody's eyes looking at me.
We're all staring you down, and I can see what you're doing.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I just removed the after the first 5,000.
No, we're not gonna do those two.
per week.
Everybody comfortable with that? So if we're gonna do that, we'll say per day. Month. I'm gonna put gallons.
So the minimum would be if they just used it a day, they'd get $25 plus the $5 per 1,000. Is that correct?
Yeah. And we wanna have a fee for having it checked out because there is a limited number that we have and they're paying, yeah. They'll bring it back if they're paying per day or per month or per week.
All right, so the next step would be with a motion to approve the fee structure as it sits, and if you want to add something about the filling station, we could put that there as well in that motion.
I don't think we're ready.
I'll move to approve the fee schedule as presented, contingent on, evaluating the water filling station and to I guess, to adjust that accordingly.
I second it.
Okay, and it's a resolution, so it will be a roll call vote. We'll start with Councilmember Topham.
Rochelle Topham, aye.
David Harris, aye.
John Dean, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
David Burton, aye.
I didn't wanna interrupt your voting, so to clarify, do you want to actually have a fee station and just, we'll come back and put it in as it's programmed in the machine?
Yes,
So add it to it and
yes.
Yeah, I think-
program it okay, got it. Well, I'll hurry and do that right now and send you the final, Callie, for your motion. Actually, I'll hit print, 'cause you're gonna want this signed 'cause it's a resolution. I'll hit print.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, moving now to item number 12. This is finalized terms for Prime West LLC annexation agreement, and we've got Dallas Buckner here to represent. Thank you, sorry, and thank you for your patience.
And let me just, start by saying, where we left off, we were verbally agreed on things. I put things in an agreement and sent it to, Dallas and his client, and, they came back with some changes that were material enough changes that we needed to bring it back to the council to decide how we wanted it in the agreement. I did send an email to the council with what those three are. we can go through them, or whatever you'd like to do, or however you'd like to go about it. The first change was just a typical section detail from A9 to A2, no curb, and that's because we defined specifically where there were gonna be trails. So the most accurate was the A2 with no curb, plus the defined trails. I think there was some confusion in the public, as to what that was, because we talked about a temporary gravel trail. It was agreed that there would be an asphalt trail on 200 North with the first application of a subdivision in there. If that Phase 1 application did not touch that asphalt trail, then there would be a temporary gravel trail to connect the two. But there would be an asphalt trail along 200 North on day one. The gravel trail was just to connect the two, 'cause we know kids are gonna make their own, they're gonna go through the field, or something like that. That's why we came up with a temporary gravel trail to define that to the public. The second thing was more of a significant item, probably the most significant item, and that was they're proposing that they should be allowed to plat 80 homes if they only have the one access, assuming 200 North isn't the access, rather than 30. That whole thing was more of a fire code thing, but they had requested that we consider 80 homes. Finally, the third thing, and then I'm gonna turn you loose on talking about this stuff, was, they added an entire paragraph that essentially says that if you have to build a second access, if they are required to build a second access, and if that second access doesn't immediately connect to the first phase within their subdivision, they would be allowed to do a gravel road rather than an asphalt road until that section of, or phase of the subdivision builds it out. And the main reason is, if they put in an asphalt road to be a second access to this phase, they're gonna have to tear it back out or significantly tear it up to put in utilities and laterals and all of that stuff. Basically, they'd be building a road that they'd end up tearing out as they finish building that part of the subdivision. So they'd requested to, within the annexation area, we're not talking about the connection to the annexation area. The connection to the annexation area would be A2, no curb. But within the on-site development, it could be a temporary gravel road. Those are the three things that, we wanted to bring back, since they were fairly significant items that were deviation from what we had verbally agreed to.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Dan did a pretty good job on that. So the A2 to A9 was fairly minor. That was just a clarification. The 30 to 80, we had, in our last meeting, and then with the previous annexation I worked on, we had come to an agreement on 80. the developer would still like to see 80. I did some more research. Cedar City is 80. I'm pretty sure Enoch is 80 because they copy and paste whatever Cedar has. Iron County has a land management code that allows you to go to 50. And I think part of the discussion last time was the old Paragona Highway Road, kind of served as a second emergency access in the city's eyes on the AJM. But I just wanted to reiterate the point of that I believe that a lot of more rural areas have adopted higher thresholds than 30. 30 is generally for more urban areas where there's congestion and just higher demand and slower reaction times and all that. So that's a request, and so basically I'm saying Cedar and Enoch are 80, Iron County's up to 50. If it's 30, it's 30, but we'd like to see a higher number. And then the added paragraph, as I was working through that, I just wanted to add that in as clarification and for the reasons that Dan mentioned. But 200 is going to get improved, how we've talked about. 1200 would get improved, how we've talked about. Depending on where we put a phase and if we need to have some kind of secondary off-site, I just more so wanted to have the discussion with council, and then if this is the language gets adopted, we're happy with it. But the discussion that if there is a second access required that's outside of our phase limits but on site, if we do pave that, we either have to have a fully locked in design with no flexibility and put in all of our utilities and laterals now, or we have to carve that road up to put those in later, or we just have to completely remove it. And so we were asking that we basically are able to adopt that same A9 detail, so 26 feet wide, but we just omit the asphalt portion so that we can have a gravel access road that would be considered an all-weather surface that emergency vehicles or residential vehicles could drive on in an emergency, but not have to put kind of a fully improved you're basically just throwing money away. So.
So what does everybody think about those three requests?
So do we have 2 access roads in?
What do you mean?
For the 80 homes, do we have 2 access roads into the property?
Right now, the way we wrote it was that they could do up to 30.
Correct.
And it's coming back at us swapping 30 for 80.
But that's meeting fire code. 30 is meeting fire code, and they're asking to change
A deviation from that.
from the
From
fire code.
But the way it is written in the fire code, it says that the local jurisdiction may go above that. And I was just giving Cedar City and Iron County as a reference to say that other cities or municipalities in the county have adopted, which is generally in more rural areas. When you're in more condensed urban areas, that's where they typically apply the 30 because the road lengths are less and there's more congestion. So it just makes sense to have less in those areas.
So, and I had put in my comments, so typically for a waiver like this, we would need the fire chief to, weigh in on that. The local fire authority can waive that if there's good reason. And effectively we're asking the council to do that. I don't know if that's what you guys wanna do. You can put it in the agreement however you want to. I did ask Alan what he thought, and he said, I'm not gonna wanna get too crazy, deviating from what the code says or what the council wants to do.
Well, I think we should stick with what we first agreed with because we were considering the fire code. And I've had a lot of complaints from citizens about the fire code that we deviated from on the AGM annexation.
So we didn't deviate from fire code on AJM. 'Cause
You're
there is-
considering that a lot of people are questioning that that's a valid,
Sure. So that, it was the assumption that we have the emergency access
right?
gravel road. Yeah. I'm just making sure that's known, that we do have that gravel road.
It's there,
Whether or
but
not that somebody thinks it's good or not, I
it's
guess can be
que-
debated.
But there are some questions about the validity of that.
That's fair. I don't agree with the questions, but the fact that they're there is stated true.
Right,
So,
and
yeah.
I didn't say one way or another, but I'm having.
Some people have problems with it, I get it,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts, Councilmember Downey?
Me?
Yeah, we're just gonna march down the row.
I think we need to stick to 30, because I feel there's more residential around the area compared to AGM, JM, where they're out in the, I don't wanna say boondocks, but away from residents. And I would rather stick to the 30.
30 for me. Also, the gravel trail, I know you're gonna put asphalt on 200 North in that section. But once again, not just kids, but, you know, the residents at the very bottom, you know, if they wanna walk or jog or ride their bikes, the asphalt trail would be a lot safer going on the back side of the development along where the road's gonna be. That, it's gonna be running along the, freeway.
So I think the gravel trail is what I would consider temporary, because everything that's developed within the subdivision will be built to the city standard with curb gutter sidewalk. And so I think the gravel trail is a concession on our end saying, hey, we recognize that council wants to see wherever we put phase one, whether it's adjacent to 200 or it's not adjacent, we're putting that 5-foot gravel trail in as a temporary access for pedestrians to access 200 North. But when the full project is built out, there'll be curb gutter sidewalk that connects through the entire development into 200.
so what standard would that gravel trail be? I mean, just gravel, or is it gonna be compact? Is it gonna have some type of a hard surface? Is it, I mean, gonna be maintained? Who's gonna maintain it? Weed it? Whatever, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know that we've gotten into that level of detail as far as the gravel trail. With the added paragraph that I've put in here that's in blue that we're considering for the offsite, I basically just adopted the same section, that would be underneath the road if it was getting asphalted. That's definitely overkill for a temporary pedestrian, but I don't know to what standard we wanna see a 5-foot bladed trail and how much gravel and what gradation or specifications. The way it's written in here, it's just a 5-foot gravel trail.
That might be something that would need to be, you know, qualified, I don't know. It's pretty vague.
What are your thoughts, Councilmember Harris?
I mean, I'm good if you go to the 80 lots, as long as you have the temporary or, you know, access in, just like AJM will have. This is it's on its own little island right now, it's not even connecting to 200. So it's like, what does it really matter?
But there isn't a temporary access requirement the way it's written.
Well, I'm just
So-
saying, if they go to the 80, I would rather see a temporary road be put in at that time. Stay at 30, otherwise, to go to 80, put in that temporary road right off the get-go. And if you want to define the travel, or the trail, I guess you can define it in some sort of way as asphalt base. What size rock do you want on it, you know? I don't know if you had any sort of detail like that in that, I didn't look at that.
No, we don't, as far as the 5-foot trail that I'm calling the temporary one that would connect to 200, we didn't have any specifications and haven't really had any discussion on it.
Yeah.
As far as
You wanna see like road base or something solid
Yeah,
that's
is
been
it
compacted to
4
make
inches
it,
of road base,
yeah,
is it 6 inches, is it
right.
scarified and over it, I mean,
I think the main point of that is a defined path for
right.
safe travel of
Right.
people.
I mean, the maintaining of it's no different than most anything else. Like, at some point, the homeowners gotta make sure their road's clear for the kids or whatever, you know? They gotta kick in their time too.
Councilmember Topham?
And it was my understanding with the temporary from the phase one, like if it was down more towards, the RV park.
Yep.
And going up, it was more of foot traffic and bike, not for driving a vehicle on it,
Yeah, we,
Yeah, so-
we haven't been talking about temporary for driving a vehicle.
right?
The only,
So-
the only time that came up was if you're going to use the same logic as the AJM, which has one improved and one temporary, that could be a solution. We didn't talk about it last time because we had an 80 home, we had a 30 home requirement.
So in the way that the reason why I added the paragraph and the way that I was thinking about it is, with the exhibit we had last time, we had shown roughly a 5 acre that was adjacent to the RV park, and we said, hey, we might not even access 200 north for second, third, whatever phase. The way that it's written currently and that we're talking about how many units it's gonna be is, if we run with the idea of we start our phase adjacent to the RV park and we improve 1200 west, the way it's written, it says, you could, if we hooked onto 1200 west, we could put 30 homes there before we're required to put a second access. And then whether that number is 30 or 80, at some point, we're going to hit the threshold that says second access is required. And that's the reason for the clarifying paragraph, is to say that at whatever threshold that is, 30, 50, 80, whatever it ends up being, when we have to make a connection to satisfy that secondary access requirement, are we putting in an asphalt road that's fully developed? Are we putting in a gravel temporary road? I'm requesting a gravel temporary road so that we could conceivably go straight line past the 200 north, if that's where we were going, or we could run it to the existing frontage road and slightly improve that to get there. I just don't wanna have to put in a fully developed road or asphalt a road that we either don't have the full, 'cause we don't have the full engineering design to say, hey, we know exactly how many lots, what size of lots, exactly where we want our water meter, sewer laterals for every single one along that road, and then put that in with phase 2, and then have come back through and say, oh, well, South Central needs to go through there, and we actually need a storm drain, and then we're just saw cutting that road to make all those. And so the way that I have it ordered is, whatever we agree upon with the number of units, 30, 50, 80, whatever it ends up being, at some point we're going to trigger that secondary access. The following paragraph is me saying, when we trigger that secondary access, we would like to build a gravel temporary road to tie in to satisfy our emergency access, and then as we develop over those portions of that emergency road, we then fully improve them. So we rip out the temporary gravel, we put in all of our utilities, we put in asphalt, curb gutter, sidewalk.
But those two things are related, but different. Because on one, you're talking about the connection between whatever phase you're at and the secondary road, and the other one is what kicks in the need for the secondary road. So they're totally related, but two separate issues. We gotta decide on both. How many homes are you comfortable with being platted before we require a second access? And when that second access is put in, can it be gravel for the portion inside the subdivision until it gets finished?
And so my question is, can we deviate from what fire code says, like legally?
So in
Like
order
are
to
we-
legally deviate, if they came in with a subdivision application today, administratively, we would say no, unless they requested for a deviation. The fire authority, which is our fire chief, could grant it if he had justifiable cause.
And
That's the way I understand it. Our code doesn't say numbers or anything, it just says we'll follow the International Fire Code. And that's what International Fire Code says.
And so so in the way that the code's written, it does give I forget, it's like the authorized person that has jurisdiction, which is generally just the fire chief. But when I reference Cedar City and Iron County, those are other municipalities that have defined that, so they've looked at that. So I think Parowan's code just refers to the IFC or whatever.
Mhm.
Those other communities have looked at it and said, we see what the IFC says, we're comfortable going to a threshold above that for whatever reasons they determined. And so what Dan's saying is correct. If we come in right now, it says fire code says this, it's 30 units. But I'm just saying that adjacent communities have looked at that where there is latitude given to the fire chief, and they've said, hey, for us, Cedar City, 80's fine, Iron County, 50's fine. So I'm more so just giving you an example that,
Yeah. So I'm just trying to picture in my mind 80 homes with one access. I don't know.
Even
Like,
if you went 50, like, I mean, something else different.
well, I just think of all 80 homes, you're gonna have at least one driver, if not two, with a
Well,
husband and wife.
but it's also not 80 homes just on like one single road, like a string of 80 where everyone's, you know what I mean? Like you would have one choke point with one access that people were turning in and out of, but you would have conceivably in a first phase, you'd have 2, 3, 4 roads that have houses that people are.
But only coming and going from one
Right, and there's
access.
a handful of subdivisions in Cedar that were never able to secure that second access and are capped at 80. So I could show you on Google Earth on this what 80 homes looks like off one access.
But we're not Cedar.
I know, I'm just
I know, and I
saying
know
as
you're
far
just
as
giving that as an
conceptualizing
example.
what that looks like.
I
Yeah.
think we made this decision and we need to stick to it, and we don't have any reason to change that, really. And if we wanna discuss the gravel or the substandard, roads as you do your improvements and your evolution, I think that's something that we can do and make a concession there. But on this, I don't think we should, because we addressed it, the fire chief isn't comfortable, and we should not go against fire code.
200 North, that whole subdivision, there's 72 homes that just have that single access. And, like it was mentioned in earlier meetings, sort of not a good thing.
Well, and the way it's written is that if we hooked onto 200 North, with our first phase, we have to provide that second access already. And so that's kind of what the next paragraph addresses, is that we've talked about our improvements to 200, we've talked about our improvements to 1200, but if we came out with a phase 1 adjacent to 200 North and were hit with the secondary access requirement on day 1, we're asking that we could go from the limits of our phase 1. If 1200 is able to be secured as a public right-of-way, we would do it from our phase 1 to 1200 as gravel, and then take it from there. And then as we do the next phase, and a portion of that is contained, we would then fully improve it.
And that's fine, but we're talking two different things. We're talking about the fire code and the threshold of 30, and then you're talking about improvements as you evolve through your development process. And I think that we can agree to the substandard roads, because you don't wanna have to tear those up. I agree with that, but the threshold of 30, I think that's two different things, and we need to stick to that.
Is there any other discussion? I know we've talked to each one of you, but I can see you're working on just kind of visualizing some different things. Are there any other questions that you have or comments you'd like to make?
I did, and
I don't have a problem with the temporary gravel road when they do it, so.
So
Like-
do you mean on the 31st home, or do you mean when they are moving to?
Yeah,
phase?
I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, probably 30 homes where I'll stay at, and then secondary access, go to go up, put that temporary road in. Like, I don't wanna feel like I'm the one putting the city in jeopardy, so, by saying more than that, so.
In temporary access, we are talking about you could drive a car on it,
Yes.
not just like a walking path, like I was assuming that's what we were talking about
So,
before. Is that what we were talking about before?
yeah,
We
so
kinda
before
changed
we
the
were
narrative?
talking about a 5-foot gravel access for pedestrian, bike type traffic.
Okay.
To get from wherever our first phase is, if we're not contiguous to 200, for a pedestrian path. But when we were looking through what the threshold is that was gonna require a road for a secondary access, that's when I said, I think we need to add this paragraph to clarify, 'cause we don't wanna go through this turn in for a subdivision and then have 800 feet, 1,000 feet of road that we've gotta connect, and the city say, well, that needs to be a paved road.
So you just wanna do a temporary road, so then as you're developing it, you can tear it up and it's not so costly,
Right.
losing so much money. Okay. Like, I'm fine with a temporary road when we trigger the second access. I don't feel like they need to build,
No, that's what
You know,
I've been saying,
so-
but I still think we got hold of that 30 threshold,
Threshold,
yeah.
Well, it seems to be where everybody's sitting at right now, so.
Does that provide the clarification that we need? I know there were 3 points, so I
So
think we need
the
to
A9,
cover-
A2, no curb detail, there wasn't an issue, the 30 homes, the 80 homes, and then the other things. So those are the three things. I'm hearing a consensus on all three of them, so that was the only differences in the agreement. It wasn't where we could bring it back and vote on it with changed stuff. So yeah. There was this paragraph added, but I don't think we care about that. These agreements apply regardless of any change of ownership within the annexation area and shall be included in the financial surety for the subdivision. That's just typical boilerplate that we had used everywhere else.
Do we need to specify anywhere that the trail going from phase 1 over to 200?
No, that's in there. I
No,
think
what I'm saying is that the road that's there, the dirt road, that is abandoned and not where you can drive a car down and no more. Does it have to be written?
You're talking about the frontage?
Yeah, cause that frontage
No,
road,
we didn't specify the route of the trail, and I think we
which is
just
fine,
wanted
I
to
just
leave
wanna
it
make sure that the
unspecified
trail
purpose.
isn't big enough someone thinks they're gonna be driving their car down it, you know?
So,
As
we
far
need to look
as-
into that whole frontage road issue with UDOT anyways, and find out exactly
Yeah.
what part of it can or can't be used, and the city, is it UDOT, will they allow it to be used as part of our frontage road? And
Yeah, there's
you
a
got power lines that are right
There's
there.
a 50-foot jog
Yeah.
Yeah.
out of it that's UDOT.
So we've gotta talk with UDOT and figure all that stuff. I plan on saying UDOT would like to utilize and reroute this frontage road. That's what it's called on Google Maps. And of course, UDOT's usual response is, on our side of the fence, they don't take any maintenance or, they don't wanna take accountability or not accountability, but like, for example, the frontage road, down here north of our north exit, when I've asked them about that, where is that a city road or is that a UDOT road? And they've said, you are responsible for that road. You look at the parcel viewer and it's part of the same parcel as the freeway. I bet if we said, okay, we wanna take that property and use it for something, they'd say, hang on a second, that's UDOT property. So usually the fence is the delineation of what they're responsible for maintaining, but when it comes to property ownership, we're gonna have to talk to them about that 50 feet and if we can realign that, expand it, you got a power line that goes down the one side of it, so I don't wanna get too into the nitty gritty in this on that road, so I'd rather just leave the trail being defined as a temporary trail. And then we'll figure that out during the subdivision process,
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
The
Does
temporary,
that sound good? Am I saying,
Yeah, I just based on the way the city's transportation master plan was, having that, what looked like a master planned road adjacent to I-15, and then that 50-foot jog already being taken out, I was thinking that road was gonna go along there and use some of that 50 feet.
so basically, you have a fence that goes right down here,
Yeah.
you have a 50-foot jog, and that frontage road more or less is within what looks like UDOT's property, but it's on the city side of the fence, and it's called a frontage road. So, yeah, we're gonna need to get to the bottom of that, one way or the other. I don't wanna say that has to be required to be used for something like this, especially if UDOT could say no. So,
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like on the municipal end, but on the private end, it's a long road.
yeah, no, it's a long road.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's a power line which just barely got overhauled by Rocky Mountain owns that power line, we don't.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's easement there for Rocky Mountain, that's gonna have to be factored into that.
and just a quick wording, if you don't mind changing, gravel, that temporary gravel path to road base, 'cause that would be safe for the kids and gravel's not.
Well, road base with the gravel on top, you're gonna want,
Well, I'm just reading.
yeah.
Gravel is a general term for loose rock fragments often used for landscaping or top layer on driveways or unpaved roads. Road base, on the better hand, is a specific type of aggregate design, be strong, stable foundation for roadways and other paved surfaces.
That's what I'm saying.
What if it
you
was
do
road
that.
base or hard
Road
packed
base is
gravel or
just
something
hard
like that?
packing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is, yeah.
So the way it's written, it says a 5-foot dirt or gravel graded trail.
So if you're saying you'd rather say 5-foot hard packed gravel or road base?
Like a road base
Road
underneath and then the gravel on top. Just so it's maintain some sort of mud
5-foot road base graded trail.
Mhm.
Sound
clearance.
good?
Is it like type 2? I don't know why I keep thinking there's a type number for what we're trying to say that makes a spec for
If
it.
we wanna get real into the weeds, yeah,
There
you're
is
correct,
type
there
two.
is a type.
Yeah, there is.
There is
Road
a
base is
difference.
pretty, I think, well enough defined.
So did we get where we needed to get to be able to finalize this document?
Yep.
Is there anything else we need to discuss on this agenda item? Council? Dallas?
Nope, so we're good with the detail change, we're going back to 30 on the units, we're fine with the blue paragraph that's been added, and then the road base clarification. So then, what's the next step from here? Do we bring this back with the map and on the next?
So we'll bring it back, we need to add the map, we'll add it as an exhibit, we'll do a clean copy of this, we'll bring it back on the agenda next time to vote on this agreement, and then the next item will be an ordinance to vote on the annexation.
Okay. All right,
Right?
sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
send
you.
you, I'll clean this and send it to you
Okay,
tomorrow.
thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. All right, this next item is one of those moments where we had, 3 council members come together, that's the requirement, to bring an item to the agenda. And this is a discussion about potential ordinance to minimize turf use and grass square footage. And who brought this item to me was Councilmember Downey, so she's going to lead this discussion.
And it's so dangerous when I start thinking. You know, everyone, when you come to build something, you have to have the water, right? You have to have an acre foot per, so you get a piece of paper and you've got acre foot of water, but how much water is really in the ground? And we've been getting, we're getting into a dire situation almost. And if you have 556 homes out to the east. And, was it 300 over here? That, I think, just my opinion is we need to bring it down where we control how much grass goes in for only new construction, not existing homes, the new construction. And I know I talked to one of them and personal property rights, and that's true. Everyone has their personal property rights. But we also have to be good stewards of our water. And I just think it's time we at least look.
I thought we already looked at it once.
We did.
We did,
I
but
thought.
that was more for everybody, not just new development. It was for everybody. I'm just saying all new construction.
So, just to clarify, when we voted before, it was to participate in the Utah program, which is, both of you are correct. It would allow everybody to participate in the turf buyback program, but we had to go in and adjust our land use code that new development had some restrictions. No existing homeowners would have restrictions, but new development would. But everybody in the city could participate in the turf buyback if we did the things that they said we needed to as a minimum. We could do more than they said, but we couldn't do less than the minimum. And so the water board looked at it, and largely for their own political reasons, said, and they said that. It was a property rights issue. We don't like restricting it. We like Parowan to have lots of grass. And sent a recommendation, and the city council said, we agree with them on from the political reasons, and when I say political, I don't mean that in a bad way, the principles of property rights. But what you're talking about is maybe not the same as that, turf buyback program, Utah, and those exact restrictions. Do you have an idea of what you're proposing in general, or?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of, I guess, square footage of grass that we could say. I don't want to use examples, but I know there was one community that, and this has been a long time ago, you cannot have any more grass than what your driveway size was. And it's changed since then, too. I just feel that we need to address it now, because we're not getting a lot of water. We're not getting the rain. We're not getting the snowpack. Yeah, we may have a good year here and there, but we're not. I was just reading by 2065, Utah is going to double in size. You double in size, where's the water coming from? You know. And it's just my feeling that we need to be responsible council members that take care of our, what do you want to call it, water, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for.
I usually say water resources. That's just my line, but I consider it all of our water resources. And I know you did have, additional council members who have thoughts and comments on this. John Dean looks like he's poised and ready.
Well, I'm just want to read, it's not for me. It's,
Okay.
Utah law encourages water-wise landscaping in new construction by limiting turf areas and promoting water-efficient irrigation. New developments often face restrictions on lawn size in front and side yards, with a maximum of 50% of the landscape area allowed for turf. Specifically, new residential developments cannot have lawns in parking strips or areas less than 8 feet wide. Commercial, industrial, multifamily developments face similar limits, with lawn areas not exceeding 20% of the total landscape area out of the active recreation zones. That's a Utah thing.
Almost every city has them. Doesn't mean we have to follow it, but I just feel it's time we at least address it.
So I don't want to weigh in, because this is largely a policy thing, but I do want to weigh in with the fact that we are looking at a water rate update, which is one way that this is sometimes done. with the new Utah, with a law that was adjusted, we were already encouraged to do it, and we're already doing it. It wasn't necessarily compatible with Utah law. They changed the law that allows us to have everything from a conservation tier on water rates right up to the tier that is basically punitive if you're overusing water. So as we look at our water rates, we will consider our tiers. One thing that some places are doing, like Washington County and St. George, of course, they are very dry, very thirsty, is they're doing an opt-in, that you can do an opt-in to an extremely conservative tier. Again, it's not mandatory, but it's basically saying, yeah, we're going to use pretty much only indoor use and maybe some bubblers here and there on the outside, and they're incentivized to do that. So again, one way to do it is with land use on subdivision requirements or new building permit requirements. Another way to do it is to do it entirely with incentives and disincentives with your water rates. We are looking at it. I don't know what that's going to look like, but Water Board will consider the rate structure first, and then it'll come to you guys for adoption and some input on that. So that is one tool that we will be considering one way or the other, whether we do landscape ordinances.
So this is on the work agenda. It really is just an open discussion to see if we want to move forward with anything other than what we're already talking about with rate studies and consideration through the Water Board on doing something that motivates or demotivates water use. Is there any other point or discussion that any of the other council members want to make on this topic of considering adjustments to our new construction land ordinances to basically put in requirements to have less turf? And I know just talking about it, and Parade Home thing is coming up, and thinking about what people do in their yards now and the kinds of features they put in and the cost of those features. And we were even considering doing some things at our own home to remove some of our turf, just out of obvious, setting an example, but for not just for other people, but for our children and everyone, just basically let's see how much grass we really need to water. And we talked about that it is possibly more expensive to put in landscape features. You start putting in these landscape features, and we talked about how it's to do a bunch of lawn, whatever it ends up looking like, is probably the least expensive thing to do. But when you get into doing some of these features, it really does require design elements as well as, other things. So there's a lot to think about in terms of approaching this. Ideally, I do like the idea of it being very expensive to keep a lawn watered, but I also know that for some people they don't care. I mean, it's like their lawn can be huge and they don't care what it costs. And I personally was pretty shocked when we moved here, and it's been almost 23 years ago now, but the getting pressurized irrigation water, I mean, it was a huge deal. I was like, I almost couldn't even believe it, because we were used to, if you wanted a lawn, your water bill for the summer was about $400 more a month. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what it was. And if you wanted to pay that, you had a lawn. If you didn't want to pay that, you had something going on out there that didn't look great. And a lot of people took that approach. And, I thought about that too. That we could have people who just let their lawns be dirt and sagebrush and say, this is a water-wise lawn. It doesn't mean they're going to make it pretty. So I think about that as well, just how we kind of dictate behavior based on some of these conversations. But that's my input. I wanted to, make it kind of just known the way my mind has been considering this and bringing it to council, and also how it would affect properties in Parowan. Does anyone else have any comments or things they'd like to say about it?
Sorry, I thought I was on. I like the idea of incentivizing people, like new builds and maybe even the residents, to use less, like to plant less grass, be more water-wise. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, I think that's more of a individual choice with their property, and not, giving a mandate requirement or ordinance or something that, you have to stipulates and, you know, that you have to abide by. But I wanna say this about water. I think we've been very proactive in this community about water. We're in the middle of a water recharge project right now that is huge, and it is very substantial, and we're very proactive with water. Our ordinances that we have, as far as having to bring water, we are one of the few communities that has an ordinance such as that to really restrict and take care of what water that we do have. We're doing a lot with water development of our springs and treatment plants, or you know, potential treatment facilities and things. I mean, water is our lifeblood here, and we are very involved in that. And I don't think that we have to mandate landscaping to be able to, you know, I think people can be responsible, and if they've given incentives, that it can take care of itself. But from the other perspective, when it comes to the source of water, we are trying to be as proactive and do as much as we can with what we do have. And I want that noted.
Somebody, mentioned via text, and, that, we do have a problem with people using water in the PI system outside of their watering days that are allowed. Right now, we are barely keeping up with the PI. Water Board last night had a discussion about, at some point, and we've done this in the past in prior years, especially when they were really dry years, of going to 1 day a week watering in order to extend the watering season. There's a difference, there's this fighting thing between, you know, the picture on the wall there up at Yankee, the green, we all love that, and that's what a lot of people will associate with Parowan, is we have big, nice green lawns, and we live in a desert, and we're in the middle of a drought. There's just gonna be this natural push and pull on that. You know, we do need to educate the public. We probably need to clamp down a little bit on people that are watering when they shouldn't be watering. When there's a day that nobody should be watering, you go up to the forebay and we look at our meter and it's spinning because people are watering when they should not be watering. So anyways, we probably need to educate.
How hard is it, it's probably hard on our system, but how hard is it to turn it off?
Yeah, we can't.
We can, okay.
To turn it off, then you create air in the system, you turn it
Okay.
back on, it shocks the system. and-
Not a great idea.
No, unfortunately, no.
But it's
Wish we-
disappointing. I mean, when I learned that, 'cause
It
I also learned that we have our meters running, and it's like really frustrating, 'cause you know people know, and they know they're not supposed to be watering, and they are anyway, and it's like, seriously?
So one of the things that some communities do, you can either have a water police and have neighbors policing neighbors, or you can have you can put a thing on the bill that says, this is how much my neighbors use, and this is how much I used. And it is a little bit of a way to guilt people, but a lot of times just somebody looking at the bill and being like, this is the average usage and this is my usage, they'll be like, ooh, I didn't realize I was literally using more than the average. Of course, that's assuming that we have meters on our PI, and we don't. So our PI really isn't, you have to be honest with it, so I don't know how else to.
When I first moved here, they were going around and they were giving citations to residents that were using water off of their days. And if you did it, I think it was 2 times you got caught, they turned your water off.
Yeah. And I think they also did something like, and is this still a thing? Like, you are not supposed to water before 6 and not after 10 in the morning, right? And so
Yep.
people,
That's a thing.
that is still a thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And yes, driving to go to lunch after school or during school, people have their water on in the middle of the day. And
So-
it's like, what do you do? Go knock on the door? Hey.
And the restriction is on the pressurized irrigation. I don't know if we have the same restriction on culinary. It's still a bad idea. It's still waste, 'cause so much more of it evaporates in the middle of the day.
Doesn't the state have something that you're not supposed to water after 10 and before 6, even with
I don't-
culinary water?
No.
They
it's
can
a strong
suggest that
recommendation.
they cannot mandate.
Well, and this just, I had a flashback, I know, and I'll mention her by name, but Cindy Stamphill, when we started talking about this, she's like, I'm gonna transformed my yard.
I remember her.
And she made her yard very water-wise, and, you know, even something, you know, talking about peer pressure, but even contests of, you know, let's pick the yards that have done the most with water-wise landscaping and have people start to get creative and do those things, because there are beautiful lawns around town. She sent me some pictures. I've noticed lawns that have had, some really neat changes that people have done in response to just recognizing their responsibility with retiring their grass without any changes. They just did that on their own, and I think that's a pretty neat idea too. There are a lot of neat things you can do, beautiful things you can do in your yards, and again, like you go to the parade homes, you don't see these big lawns of grass. You see a lot of really beautiful alternatives to grass, and that's very common, and I think it's an upgrade in a lot of cases. And it's very water-wise, so I think this is a great conversation, something we can keep talking about, and definitely bring recommendation from Water Board. I know at the beginning of the summer, they did ask that we did a strong, recommendation from council to make sure that people knew that we wanted to be aware as a community of the scarcity of water in this area, and that we needed to take responsibility for that as individuals. So that was in our newsletter, I think, and it should probably be in our newsletter every single time.
It should.
So, does anyone else have any other discussion on this?
So what
Alright.
what are we doing then? Are we asking the water board to look at something other than our rate stuff, or what are we doing?
Yeah,
Where are we
what
going?
would you like the action to be for this, the follow-up action?
Have the water board look at it for new construction. I mean, I just worry with 800 possible new homes coming in this town, it's going to use a lot of our,
Well, if you're gonna restrict
Groundwater.
water, restrict the annexations and the number of homes that come in.
Any other follow-up, so we can bring it as an agenda item for discussion at Water Board? Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, this next one has been, it's taken a lot of time, and I think we're to a point we can discuss it now. It's the procurement policy discussion, item number 14.
Okay, I debated how to go about this. I've mentioned a few times that what we currently have in code, we don't just have a policy, we have a lot of things written into our code, and it's found in various places in our code. It's found in some things in the administrative policy, some things in individual assignments, and some things in economic development. There's a chapter, I think 11 or 13. It's spread out, and I started to tackle, first of all, I've been working on a policy for some time using best practices, and then I started to tackle how we would go through and edit it, and I realized that it got very overwhelming. So what I figured would be the best approach to this would be to look at the proposed new policy, decide if we like it, decide if we want to change stuff, tweak stuff, and then once you get the policy where you like it, then I'll go back and figure out if it's a repeal and replace, or if it's modify, and so forth. But I think it would overwhelm us all to go through all the red lines and all of that stuff. So is everybody comfortable with that? I'm gonna propose and present a new policy. Of course, we're in a work meeting. I just handed you a draft of this. You haven't seen it before now, so I don't expect the council to give us a green light or red light with it tonight. I just wanna propose some, what it is and concepts. A lot of this is similar to what we have, but modified. The thresholds have been updated. And again, moving to some best practices and more, common practices for entities, public entities in Utah today. So the purpose of this is to establish uniform purchasing and contracting procedures that ensure fair competition, compliance with Utah law, fiscal accountability, and the efficient use of public funds. Pause. We also need to slightly fix and update our disposal process, and we'll do it at the same time, but I don't have anything on that tonight. That's when we're doing asset disposal. Okay. Purchasing agent. The purchasing agent is required by Utah law. There is an entire section of code. There's two places in state code where it refers to this. One is in chapter 10 of the state code, which is the municipal code, and it says that we can adopt our own policy. There's also a chapter 63G, I believe, which is state procurement policy. We do not have to follow the state procurement policy, but we can't contradict it. We can't do something in violation of the state's procurement policy. One thing that sometimes can be done is we can just say we adopt their policy. Their policy is pretty involved. They do give the cities latitude, especially recognizing that we don't have the kind of staffing that they have at the state level and with some of these large complex entities to do what they do. One thing that we do is we have our own policy, and we piggyback on some of the things they do. We piggyback on their state contracts. We piggyback on, we reference the state code in certain things. So anyways, I'm just kind of laying that out. So this is what we're proposing. The purchasing agent, right now is the city manager currently. I'm not proposing we change that. But the purchasing agent can be assigned. When the day comes that we have a separate, dedicated finance officer, or a lot of cities just have specifically a purchasing agent. That's usually larger entities, right? For the time being, it's the city manager. And shall oversee all procurement activities. The purchasing agent may delegate day-to-day purchasing functions to the department heads or staff as necessary, but remains responsible for compliance with this chapter. That's important. You're going to see that concept twice in here. I do not see every last thing that comes through the city. In the budget process, we, the city council, appropriate money to department heads to use in their department. And when an invoice comes in, for example, Aldo has the ability to go ahead and sign an invoice and say it needs to come out of this line item. I don't typically see it unless it reaches certain thresholds. And so that's an example of one of the things that has been delegated, but it's done very carefully. So, no purchase or contract shall be made except as authorized by this chapter and appropriated in the city budget. Requisitions and purchase orders. This is a deviation in principle from our current really hard to understand and convoluted and frankly out of date purchasing. Back in the day, everything was done by paper. You would come in, you would get a requisition request form, you would get it filled out, get it authorized, you would then take that requisition form to the store, buy something, get the invoice, attach the requisition form to the invoice, come back in, do all this stuff. Nowadays, we do things with Visa cards all the time. You're making the purchase on site. We're doing things on account. Requisition systems have gone digital. We have the ability with Polaris. In fact, Jerry left just before I was going to throw him under the bus. One of my goals with the city is to bring our requisitions into the current century and digitize them with Polaris. We're able to do that. Digitize not only the requisition and the record keeping, but also the authorization, meaning you're going to upload your invoice into the system. You're going to sign with a digital signature that says you authorize that to be spent. I won't go into all the nitty-gritty detail, but from an accounting perspective, it's really cool because it shows an encumbrance as soon as it's been entered, and we have actually up-to-date year-to-date budget information, which department heads love because they know where they're at, rather than waiting for the check to be cut. It may not be cut for a month or two, especially if they go buy something at the Ace Hardware and they charge an account on and on and on, right? So I'd like to improve and digitize and modernize our requisition program. What this says right now is essentially, well, I'll read it. The city can utilize a requisition and purchase approval process as established and periodically adjusted by the purchasing agent to meet operational needs and best practices for internal controls. The auditors look at our stuff every single year. They look at they want a copy of what our process is, and then they verify that we're following our process. So keep that in mind. So this says that we will follow best practices for internal controls. A formal purchase order shall not be required unless specifically requested by the vendor or determined necessary by the purchasing agent. Some companies and cities say you need a purchase order for a certain amount. We have amount thresholds, which trigger additional steps, we're just basically saying the purchase order is not one of those. We don't require purchase orders today. We just haven't been doing that. We do trigger additional thresholds or additional requirements, but we haven't typically required purchase orders, even though the system the old code talks about it. We're just not actively doing it, and I think it's fairly antiquated. Really large companies, you need purchase orders. Anyways, I'll go into the thresholds, and I think you'll see that hopefully you'll see that you're comfortable without having formal purchase orders. The requisition approval process may employ a variety of methods, including but not limited to paper signatures, digital approvals via email or the city's financial software, and in some cases, pre-approved purchases. I'll talk more about that. Regardless of the approval method, the department head with funds appropriated through the budget process shall be responsible for authorizing expenditures within their department. The purchasing agent may also authorize purchases for any department. In limited cases, the city treasurer, and I'm going to put or accounts payable employee, which happens to be the same right now, may be authorized to automatically pay recurring bills that are typical, planned, and within budget, such as utility bills, debt service payments, and other routine obligations. We're doing that today. We get a recurring payment that comes in every month. We got to put money into a Zion's reserve account for bond requirements. City Council approved that whole thing. We've set it into motion. It shouldn't have to get all the paperwork to happen every single month to do it, in my opinion, and that's the way this is written, and it's the way we've been doing it in practice too. So that's requisitions and purchase orders. Okay, now let's get into cost thresholds. Procurement thresholds, including limits for informal quotes, formal bidding, and city council approval, shall be set by city council resolution and may be adjusted from time to time to account for inflation and operational needs. The purchasing agent shall maintain and publish the current schedule of thresholds for staff reference. Until amended by resolution, the following thresholds apply. I color-coded these because we're talking about everything 0 to infinity on dollars in this circumstance, and these are normal purchases. First, we have small purchases up to $5,000. You can decide whether you think $5,000 is small by this definition. What happens? That's where the department head is allowed to do direct purchase and is expected, we talk about it a little bit later, to do best efforts in getting the best value for the city. Above $5,000 triggers informal competitive quotes. From $5,000 to $25,000. What does informal competitive quotes mean? That means they're required to get 3 quotes or bids, and the city manager now has to also sign. So when you think operationally, and again, I talked earlier about balance. We're trying to strike a balance here between accountability, transparency, the most efficient use of funds, and operational sustainability. It doesn't take much when Aldo is out running public works and doing what he's doing to make a purchase that's over $5,000. When you're buying materials, you're buying equipment, you're in the middle of the day, you need something, to shut down his whole process and trigger him to go get 3 quotes for a kind of a routine thing. There's a threshold where we don't care if it slows you down. That number is too important for you to not go get bids. Below a certain amount, we're going to trust Aldo to say, Aldo, get us the best price. You're not going to have to formally get bids and record them and have a record of them that Jerry keeps, but we expect you to give us the best price, right? So what is that threshold where we trigger the 3 bids? The 3 bids can be a written bid, which is, if they give him a verbal bid over the phone, he can write it down and submit it with the request for payment or the invoice. He can go online and say, this is how much this Kubota tractor costs. You guys have given him the budget. Now he goes to buy it and it's $6,000. Well, crap. Now I got to get 3 bids for it. Let me call the Kubota dealer, let me call the John Deere dealer, and let me see what it costs online from Amazon, right? And then he submits those 3 bids. Okay, so that's informal quotes from 5,000 to 25,000. Anything over 25,000 requires a formal bid process. That's where we do public notice, we put it in the newspaper, or whatever our formal bid process is, the state procurement website. We do a public notice. We say what the criteria is, what we're asking for. We say when the bid opening is gonna be, and we do a public opening if people care to show up, right? That's the formal bid process, anything over $25,000. The city council approves the awards of those items. So it's not just something that's opened and moves forward without it. Those all come to the city council, right? So that's for buying stuff and things, and even in some cases, paying somebody to do something. That's the green. Then we move into the blue. The blue is professional services. We treat professional services different. When we think of professional services, think of that man sitting down there drinking Red Bulls. If we're gonna hire an attorney, now we have him on contract, but if we were gonna go hire a different attorney for a job, we were gonna hire a consultant, we were gonna hire an accountant, an auditor, an engineer, or something like that, this is professional services. This is a little different requirements. Up to $10,000, we can do direct selection. Typically, professional services is usually carved out. For one reason, it's kind of hard to compare one attorney to another attorney. And when you're getting somebody to help with a project, to get to a formal bid process is it's a little different, and a lot of times we'll just use somebody to help out with the job. So this is a suggestion that we allow direct selection, again, using best effort, of up to $10,000 that the department head does. Over $10,000, and this comes from state language, or any complex service, requires an RFP, which is request for proposal, or an RFQ, request for qualifications. That's an example. We are in the middle of 2 RFPs right now, one for our airport FBO and one for our independent auditor. We expect both of those to be, the one is complex, even though it's mostly trade, and the other one is over $10,000, and that requires evaluation criteria, and more of a formal bid process. And the city council approves it, or is required to approve it if it goes over 25. Between 10 and 25, the city manager and department head can award it. Finally, and this is a requirement by state code, any construction project over $50,000 is under what they call the Little Miller Act, and is required to be a competitive bid / RFP process and or RFP process, performance and payment bonds required as required by state law, and city council approves all of those awards. So those are the thresholds. There's other stuff in this which I'll talk about. Any thought, comment, questions about the thresholds? This is usually where people want to think the most. Dave said pretty obvious. Nobody heard it, but I heard it.
I did.
And again, you're going to have some time to think about it. Ask questions.
And I think just from watching Dan work through this, if you wonder how hard he's worked on this, it's been on the agenda, preliminary agenda a couple times, and it is a lot of work just to get to the place that we are. And then once we move it from here, we still have to go back through, because there's a lot of other places throughout our code that this touches. And so, this in and of itself is a significant project. It's not just a simple, we're gonna change a few things here.
Well, I think this is all very reasonable.
Okay, and it's modernized. I mean, when I started at the county, we went through and rehashed it. The county had $1,000 thing, and I'll tell you what, we were never doing it because it wasn't practical. We had bumped it up, and this was pre-COVID, all that stuff. We bumped it up to $2,500. I fought for more. The department heads hated the $2,500 rule, because we bumped up against it every single day in routine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So is 5,000 the number? I don't know. You think about that for a while.
It's a battle between, does it function? And then you bring in the transparency, ethical, third,
And we're gonna get to the
broad
ethics stuff.
triangle, just the whole deal, and once you roll it all together, it still has to function.
Yeah, it has to function. I feel for both sides of this, having run my own businesses and been a department head that's running an operational budget. I mean, we want them to be able to move quickly, but we also know there's a limit where you gotta stop. Government isn't meant to be super fast when it comes to accountability. We have to move slower and be accountable and transparent and all that stuff. Okay, so now we get into council override. The city council may by resolution temporarily adjust or waive procurement thresholds for a specific project or emergency circumstance when determined to be in the best interest of the city. I don't know if we have a separate emergency section. Yeah, we do. But say for a specific project, you guys could say, like for example, the pool. The pool was this. Councilman Burton said, we're gonna open by July 4th, and the blood drained out of my face, and I figured he meant July 4th the following year, and he didn't.
He did not.
And I had my Hawaii trip already scheduled, and we did it. But I'll tell you what, we were a little fast and loose with procurement, and I don't think we did anything unethical, but we had to make decisions very quickly. And in 1 minute, we had somebody said, I'll do it for free, and the next minute they said, no, when I said free, I meant my labor was free. You're gonna have to buy the materials, and it was like $2,700. I'm like, I don't even know what our schedule says about that. You're donating the materials, let's go. Anyways, so you could do that in a circumstance like the pool where you said, okay, we want a full accountability, but we're gonna give you some temporary waiver. Any such resolution that shall state the project, the adjusted threshold, and the justification for the change. Temporary adjustments under this section do not amend the general procurement thresholds unless explicitly stated. That's all self-explanatory. Okay, procurement methods. I'm not gonna dive into this because we literally just talked through it. This just goes into more detail on the small purchases. What is that best effort that I just mentioned in the table? It means that best effort should be made to obtain the best value. Competitive quotes should still be sought where practical. So this is where I push back against the department heads. Happens all the time. Somebody will say, hey, they give me a price for this thing. Am I good to go? Is that below or above the threshold? Am I good to go? And I'd say, call around, man. And they'd call around and be like, I'm glad I did that. Like once the vendor knew I was gonna check them, they dropped their rate. Our goal is to get the best rate. These are sacred funds, right? So again, we want to encourage competitive quotes. We don't want to just take the lazy route because it's below the threshold. That's what that says. Again, I talked about all of these things ad nauseum. Please read through them. Request for proposals, bids, all of that stuff, criteria and weighting and all that. Okay, local bidder preference. This is a typical feature of some procurement policies. It's entirely optional. When evaluating bids for purchases of goods, materials, or services funded solely with city funds, a responsive and responsible bidder with a principal office or place of business located within county limits, you could say city limits if you want, shall be deemed to have been submitted a bid equal to the lowest non-local bid if the local bid is within 3% of the lowest bid amount. Translation, we can award something to somebody who has a slightly higher cost if they're local, up to 3%. I've seen that number be as high as 5%. I've seen it be lower than 3%. This just basically says we're going to try to shop local, and if two bidders bid, we're going to give it to the local person. We're going to give them an allowance. That also assumes that we have a low bid requirement, and in the bidding, I won't go back up to it, but in the bidding we call it lowest responsible bidder. And that gives us the flexibility when we get bids in. If we have a low bid and we're like, A, they always come back with change orders. They know how to game the system. Or B, they didn't really understand it and we don't think their bid is a qualified bid. We don't have to go with a low bid always. So, anyways, This is local bid preference. If more than one local bidder qualifies under this section, the award shall be made to the lowest of the two qualifying local bidders. And 3, this preference shall not apply to purchases made with state or federal funds where prohibited by law, or purchases under cooperative contracts to state big programs. That's just to keep us good with our state and federal contracts. We're not allowed to do a local bid preference in some of those cases. Okay, ethics and conflicts of interest. For those people that are really budget hawks, government watchdogs and stuff, you should love this chapter. No city officer or employee may have a financial interest in a contract or purchase in violation of Utah Code 10, Chapter 3, Utah Public Officers and Employees Ethics Acts. This is one of the reasons why you guys as elected officials have to state what your potential conflicts of interest are, which Callie is always harping on you for, but that also applies to city employees. If I have a business that does landscaping, the city decides it's gonna bid that out, we cannot violate what that is. It doesn't mean that they can't get that job, but we cannot violate that code. There's extra rules if somebody has some involvement there. Okay, gifts, gratuities, and favors. This has some Utah law factored into it, but you could be a little more restrictive if you want. Essentially, this is the kind of the standard. I don't know if you've ever heard the term a pecuniary gift. A non-pecuniary gift means if somebody comes to town, say it's our pipe dealer, and he takes out Public Works to lunch, as long as lunch doesn't go over $50, it's allowed by state law, and this would allow that to happen in the city as well. That is an occasional non-pecuniary gift valued at $50 or less is considered permissible and does not require disclosure. However, those gifts should never be accepted if they are intended to improperly influence a public official or employee, serve as a reward for an official act, are given by persons or entities involved in a governmental action that the recipient may affect unless proper disclosure is made. And any gift with a value above 50 that qualifies more than nominal must be disclosed promptly and must be within the procedures established. So one time I had somebody offer me jazz tickets. I was a huge jazz fan at the time, and I came from the private sector where we got jazz tickets all the time, same vendor, and I'm like, man, I'm wearing a government hat now, and I know that ticket's more than $50. I can't accept it. I cried that night.
I would have cried too.
Okay, so this is saying that we're going to allow that. That's gift, gratuities, and favors, basically being consistent with Utah ethics laws. You could be more restrictive if you want. I think that's reasonable, but if you feel uncomfortable with it, you can just say no gifts or favors of any value. Zion's Public Finance comes by and brings us chocolates. If you say none, we say throw the chocolates in the trash, guys. So think about it. Any employee involved in drafting specifications or evaluating bids and proposals shall disclose potential conflicts and recuse themselves where appropriate. There's a lot of ways that fraud can happen, and one of them is when you're drafting bids. You can bend things and steer things to benefit a particular bidder. Say it's your brother-in-law's company or something like that, right? Even without taking physical money, you can still unethically do that. Okay. Exceptions to, I realized that I was just fixing the formatting. I need to fix these. Okay, we need to have exceptions. I'm going to have to go through and fix these. These are the exceptions to the thresholds. And you'll see these make sense. This is the 5,000, 25,000, 10,000, all of that stuff. These are the exceptions. Emergency procurement. In an actual emergency threatening public health, safety, or essential services, the purchasing agent may authorize procurement without normal procedures. There's a flood coming down the canyon is an example of that. We may not have a budget for sandbags. I'm going to go buy sandbags. I'm going to go buy a lot of stuff. And then we better open the budget and fix it as soon as possible, right? But that's an actual emergency that threatens public health, safety, or essential services. Emergency purchases shall be limited to what is necessary to address the immediate situation, and the purchasing agent shall document the circumstances and report emergency procurements to City Council. Single source procurement. Procurement without competition is allowed only when the purchasing agent determines in writing that only one source is available. Compatibility with existing equipment or systems requires a sole vendor, or other unique circumstance justify the purchase. This actually happens quite a lot. If we're going to buy some unique trailer, there's only one person who builds this trailer, we can't go get 3 bids. It doesn't even make any sense, right? So a single source procurement, but I'm supposed to document that that happens and why and what's going on, right? Documentation shall be kept within the purchase file. Cooperative purchasing. This is a big one and happens often. The city may participate in state cooperative contracts, local purchasing contract awards, purchasing consortia, which is the plural of consortium, and interlocal agreements when determined to be in the city's best interest by the purchasing agent. Translation, we can buy on state bid. We can do, say we could do an annual bid, say if we didn't do oil changes and we were gonna use the private sector, we could do a single year bid and say, okay, we awarded the bid to Weston's Garage to do all of our stuff for the year at a specific price. And every time we use him that year, we don't have to go through the process again. It's a local contract, right? But the idea with all of these is it does go through this competitive process at least once to establish it. That's why you can use it without having to stop.
Dan, does that chip seal machine fall under that category?
Chip seal machine did. It was a state contract. And the nice thing is when there's state contracts on stuff, we just go and use them because they really do go to a lot of detail and effort to get the best value.
But I mean, you went in with Enoch.
With Enoch, yeah. But it was bought under state contract bid.
So you don't have to go through the state contract, you could actually outsource that bid to compete against the state contract?
Yeah, we don't have to use the state contract, we get to use the state contract.
I just remembered in the furniture world, I lost some contracts because they said they can't, my price was lower than the state contract.
Right.
But they had to use the state contract.
That's if you're using the state policy.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons, if we were to just adopt section 63G or whatever, we would have those same limitations.
Okay.
If there was a state bid, you couldn't go outside of it. So we get to use it when we want to, but we don't have to use it. That's it. I mean, the other is record keeping, that we will keep copies of solicitations, quotes, bids, proposals, and contracts maintained in accordance with city's records retention and Utah records public records law. So that's it. That's the procurement policy draft. If you have any other questions or comments, otherwise I'd say take it, look at it, think about it, ask me questions, do research on other cities or whatever you want to do. I do want to bring to you a draft of the disposal policy, and if you like it, we'll go through and we'll modify it, our existing code.
Thank you. I know that was a lot of work, and I remember you telling me you spent an entire 6 or 8 hours on it on a Saturday and realized you still weren't ready. So I think that's why we needed to sit here and go through this and really be sure we understood what we were looking at and didn't just glaze over it. And so thank you for your hard work there. And that opens up a very quick need for consensus from the council. So we did have to put out an RFQ, I believe, for a new auditor.
RFP.
An RFP. And the reason being that, I guess they would all be somewhat qualified, so RFP. And the reason is it was time, hit and verdict. We'd used for 5 years. This needed to be revisited. I don't know if you want to get into any more detail than that, but we did receive 3 bids. And now we need to, as a council, make a decision. It should have been on this agenda, but with everything, all the things flying around out there, we need to have a special meeting to approve our, who we're gonna use to do our next audit, because time is of the essence. So does Tuesday of next week work for everyone better, or does Thursday of next week work for everyone better? And I don't know if we wanna try for like 4 o'clock, like
If we
we've
did
done with
Thursday, it would either compete with water or power board, or we would need to do it at a different time.
So are we thinking like a 4 o'clock, like we've done before, where it's still kind of in the workday?
We could do 4 o'clock. What time does power board start? 5:30? I think it's 5:30.
And it shouldn't be a long meeting, it's just reviewing the 3.
So we have 3 bids. We can invite them to interview. We have done a full scoring matrix. I'll send you a whole packet on it. I'm familiar with all 3 of them personally very well. And we have Callie filled out a scoring matrix, Jerry filled out a scoring matrix, and I fill out a scoring matrix. So we have that information to get to you, plus the bids. But if you wanted, we can get them on Zoom and you can interview them, or whatever you want to do.
So the 2 questions are, do you feel you need to interview them, number 1, and number 2, Tuesday at 4 o'clock or Thursday at 4 o'clock, because we could get it done, I think, in front of the power board meeting.
I'm okay either of those days.
Okay.
I can be here at 4 on Tuesday if necessary.
Well, Tuesday doesn't have to be at 4. It can be any time.
Well, I can't do it during the day on Tuesday.
I mean, it could be an evening on Tuesday. It's just on Thursday it has a conflict with power board.
So do we like Tuesday at 4 o'clock or Thursday at 4 o'clock? We have 3 that can do Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Do we wanna stick with
Davis
going
in
through?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Rochelle?
Rochelle, does that have a conflict for you?
We do it
If we
later.
are not here all night long,
Oh.
it will be fine, but I do have other obligation that night.
So, what will make it longer is if we interview them. I guess you have to decide if you wanna interview them. The 3 bids, it's fine, they're in, it's done, nobody else can bid, is Hinton Burdick, who we've had, Kimball and Roberts. I have years of experience with Kimball and Roberts, and, it's Larson and Company, Larson Group, if you will, out of Spanish Fork. I have a good experience with them. They're all 3 great firms. There is a division of we did get hard prices, plus we're considering them as a firm. The prices are significant enough of a difference that you could possibly make the decision just based solely on price, but we would have to probably have a good reason to say that the lowest price shouldn't be them, it should be the second one, following this procurement concept. So it's kind of a 2-horse race, and one of them is $3,500 more than the other one, on the annual fee. So you may just make the decision on that alone. You just have to decide, do you want me to get them all arranged and do interviews? These are busy people. I'm happy to do it, what do you think?
Do you wanna interview accountants? Would you like to interview Hinton Burdick? I mean, they all meet the qualifications. They're all experienced firms with long tenures and good reputations. They did get reference calls. We vetted them, so we feel they're all qualified candidates. If you don't want to interview them, I feel like we would probably be able to look at their proposals and make a decision
Well, I've
fairly
had
easily.
all 3 of these firms grilling me. I've been in the middle of audits with them. I've been in trainings. They're all legit firms, all of them. Great people, all of them. This is not like our airport board FBO where we're like, we don't even know these people, and we're trying to figure out who they are and get to know them. We know all these people, so.
Well, I think we can just look at the stuff, and then anything that Dan has to say, I don't feel like I need to interview him.
And Jerry called all of their references. We weren't all 3 gonna call all the references, and he has a report of what all the references said as well, which we'll give to you in your packet. We have a lot of information to give to you, is what I'm saying, so.
So 4 o'clock on Tuesday?
Yep.
No interview? Okay,
Okay, I'll send the
Consensus.
packet out today, and you can do some thinking and
all right.
ask questions.
Reports, updates, old business follow-up. We'll start with Councilmember Topham. Thank you, Jerry.
I didn't have any, meetings the last 2 weeks, but just wanted to remind everybody, if you want to audition for the play, that the auditions are today and tomorrow. at the
What is the
Aladdin
play?
Theater. You can't take it with you. So, if you wanna be in the play, go audition.
Councilmember Harris.
I don't know how much I wanna talk about it, but I don't know if we can talk about Zoom meetings or anything.
No,
Should we?
we'll talk about more.
Alright. So I have nothing to report.
Right, Councilmember Dean.
I have nothing to report. We're gonna have a, Shade Tree Committee meeting in September, so.
I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Burton.
Pine Zoning met, had the public hearing on the short-term rental, and they, after their discussion, they didn't make any recommendation. They're gonna continue to discuss that, and
There was a lot of public, comment
right.
that made them really wanna think through some things.
And, yeah, I didn't want to discredit the public comment, but there, yeah, there was a lot, but they wanted to kinda go, have more time. And then they discussed the fence ordinance, and they didn't make any recommendation on that. They also wanna take time and discuss that further. So I think that was it on
Kelly, I'm gonna
the
send it back.
planning and zoning. Water board met last night. We've talked about quite a bit of it. The water recharge projects is moving forward with good progress. But we do need to get the bids out on the diversion project, and I haven't had any progress on that, have we, Dan?
No, we are all very frustrated. We expect any day that the engineer will achieve the missing piece of the puzzle so that we can have a meeting and look at it and put it out to bid. We're hung up on the gate. We can't get the specifications from the manufacturer on the large, heavy, massive gate that is the central figure of that thing. And it's gonna be the biggest cost driver of that diversion too, so, that's been the holdup now for like weeks and weeks. We're all frustrated, but.
Yeah, that needs to be, done and moved forward, so I guess if we have, never mind, we'll let that go. Anyway, we talked about the main canyon well. There's a lot going on there. It's down right now. They're using the well on 300 East for the culinary water, and they're talk about supplementing it with the racetrack well and bringing it back online, and having to go through the process of getting it to where it could be used with cleaning and use and so forth. But that main canyon well, there's gonna be a lot of cost there, and it's gonna come to the council. But I think the decision or the consensus was that they'll go forth with trying to reclaim and refurbish that well and try to get some more use out of it, some more time. But it will be expensive, but it won't be as expensive as drilling a new well. And at this time, but hopefully we can get that, but it will be expensive to get that, 'cause there is some issues in that well. What'd we decide? It was drilled in 71,
Yes, 71.
so,
1,000 foot deep.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back online right now. We're just looking at long-term. We're
Mm.
gonna have to do some rehabilitation work on it.
right, okay. Yeah, for the long term, excuse me, so. They talked a little bit, didn't really get very far on the water entitlement policy. And that's something that they'll have come to the council after they've evaluated it. And I just wanted to say, Dan, you said that we thought that they would have to, it'd be back in your court, but that's not the way I remembered. You gave a very good presentation, but they, for some reason, wanted more time to go over it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I know we talked, yeah, I did
No,
what
you
I do.
did.
I
You
went
gave
into
a
this whole
very
thing.
good presentation, and for some reason, they want to talk about some more. So anyway, that was kind of the culinary, the irrigation. As we talked about, there was concern about use on the authorized, or, on your days that you're not authorized to use water, and, but the Yankee is down. It's, I don't know, the farmers are gonna have to decide when they turn it off, and they decide that we'll have to correlate with that, with the farmers, and then there was discussion that we may have to go to 1 day a week if, you know, to extend the water irrigating season. And so that's yet to be determined. But you know, I want to say this, we've done very good considering the drought this year and the time that we've gotten use and what the schedule that we haven't had to interrupt and so forth. I think the use of that irrigation, pressurized irrigation, has been very, it served us well considering all. And we discussed a little bit about the additional pond. It will not be located in Dry Canyon. The state road won't let us, so it'll be in a site behind the main canyon well is where we kinda think that'll be located when that time comes, and it's decided to put that into use. So I think, but I'm just gonna reemphasize, water is a limited resource, but I think Parowan has done more than any other community to try to sustain that resource in our development of like the recharge project we talked about, bringing the springs online. They're a better source than any well that we could develop. And through our water ordinances, we've done more than I think anybody else, and so I think that we need to recognize that, because we all recognize what water is, I hope, so. Anyway, just say your prayers and hope that we get something.
We got a little bit today. Not nearly enough. City Manager, do you have anything?
Yep.
Are you talked out yet?
I am talked out. Yes. I'm exhausted. I do get sick of myself talking too, believe it or not. Construction is ongoing. Thanks for everybody being patient with that. We're making progress. We have had to stay away from the fairgrounds. They got done, buttoned up. They're gonna have to go back, but we're staying out of the fairgrounds area, 300 East, to wait for that. There's been some of the anticipated issues that we expected to have, and JP Excavation's doing awesome. We're now starting in heavy on 300 South, and it's gonna be a jungle. We know it's gonna be a jungle. Today was a jungle all day long. They hit a line they didn't expect to be there, and anyways, it's going well. We just ask for the citizens that are affected by it to be patient. It will end at some point, and it'll be a really good project to have done. I'm gonna let you talk about Fairgrounds, Master Plan Survey and Presentation. Two other things, the Transportation Expo this fall, put it on your calendars, October 9th, 3 to 7 p.m. It'll be in the Heritage Center at Cedar City. I will bring it up again. This is all of the cities in the county and UDOT and all of anybody who is involved in transportation. We're gonna have an expo. We're patterning it after the one that they do, the Dixie Expo, October 9th. Oh, is that city council night? 3 to 7, which means you can get there. We can all be done and come back for city council. We're gonna have a special thing, want to invite all the elected officials. This is the stuff that we administratively spend, lots of time looking at it. If you're curious as to what I-15 project is, what's going on in Cedar with the South Interchange, what's going on with circle drives, I mean, this is the stuff that we're talking about all the time administratively. We're gonna open up, we're gonna have all these projects on different booths, and Parowan City is gonna have a booth. The Parkway is gonna have a booth. There's gonna be a lot of information. It's for the public. So that's exciting. Dixie's been doing it for a while. They started it for one big project, and the public loved it so much they keep doing it. So
Where did you say it's at?
it's gonna be at the Heritage Center in Cedar. The library. I've been thinking a lot about the library. Remember this fall we're gonna go to CIB, we're gonna look at it. as I've been looking really close at the library, we had another leak. I've been looking more at that roof, and we have water that came in under the foundation. It was a new leak, new problem. I just like, I kinda wanna look at it and wonder, are we gonna throw good money after bad by remodeling it? I just wanna, I wanna stop for a second and think about it. I wanna engage the council. Maybe we could have a field trip with all of us out there. We can notice it, and let's walk around and look at the nuts and bolts and decide what we wanna do. Maybe we do wanna remodel it, but, what if we could get the funding? The mayor reached out with an email to state agency, federal agency, and said, is there any money that you have for libraries? And they said, grant money, no, but we'll loan you money at incredible rates, which probably better than CIB. CIB has gotten really difficult to get money out of. I've heard a lot of opinions from people. Now, this doesn't mean anything, because you guys decide, but why don't you tear that library down and build a new library? Of course, we know we're gonna have to build a public safety building at some point, but it has been really on my mind. I don't feel just settled that we just need to just hurry and run and rush through and do a remodel. We made it through the summer by renting AC units and running them in there. The AC unit is barely functioning, not even enough to keep us through on semi-hot days. That cost us thousands of dollars to rent that equipment. I just think we gotta talk about it. So I just wanted to plant that horrible seed and let you think about it. That's all I have, Mayor.
That horrible seed.
We love our library, but it has been the bane of my existence in this job.
Well, and it's not like you just pop a new HVAC system in it like we, would painfully do in our own homes. It's a crazy amount of money. Everything's a crazy amount of money.
It requires modification of the roof to put a modern system in it, and that's, you go there. It's literally a money pit. It's like, if you do this, you have to do that, and if you do that, you have to do this, and next thing you know, we're right back to almost a new building.
Yeah.
The heat has issues as well. I mean, that is the biggest problem we have. The second biggest problem is the roof. Third biggest problem is the electrical. Don't even get me started on code stuff for commercial stuff if we were to touch it, so, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be quick. So we've been involved in these fairground master plan meetings for years, it feels like. And we're now to a place where the presentation will be coming to city council on the 28th. The architects involved will be here in person. They're gonna attend the fair, which is really cool because they're super obviously involved in the site design, the way it's gonna be put together, and he wants to see the fair operating in action to really make sure that they have full grasp of the way people move around that whole facility and that whole property. It's really exciting, it's neat stuff, and so when you can get on and do that survey, please do. So we'll have them here to meet them and to see, I'm sure, a lot of visual stuff that we can really get a handle on what's gonna happen out there at that wonderful facility to make it that much better. The next topic is airport board. We've got this big decision in front of us right now that we tabled this evening, but also we have an airport board member that is going on a mission to Germany, Kiki de La Paz, and so we are gonna need a new airport board member, so please, be thinking about that and considering what's ahead for the airport, because we've got big things ahead for the airport. We need a good, committed member, on that board. The America 250 stuff is just rocking and rolling. You're gonna see some crazy stuff in the parade, I'll just say that. And we have planned an event for every single month, and that's just neat. I remember, when I was a child and we did the events around the 100, that would have been what it was. What was it, the bicentennial or whatever it was?
Something like that.
And I remember thinking how old I would be by the time this one rolled around, and I just thought that was
150 years ago would be the 100.
whatever it was. I remember an activity at school and making a big deal out of it and me thinking
You make
about how.
Scott and I feel young.
I know.
So anyway, there are a lot of neat things that are coming up. One that I'm excited because it's my idea is to do a flag photography contest, and once that was accepted as a thought, I've been noticing beautiful flags all over our community. Everywhere I go, it's either the setting or the backdrop or what's going on around it. but that will happen in February. We're gonna do all of the entries displayed in the visitor center and be able to vote on those, and I think it'll make all of us more aware of the flags around us in our community and surrounding areas, but a lot of neat things happening, and as soon as that calendar is finalized, it'll be distributed throughout the community of what our community is gonna do each month for America 250 celebration. I did catch up with Jeremy. They've been extremely busy with power projects, as you might guess. These are giant projects that they've been involved in getting these commercial, businesses set up, but one of the things he wanted to let me know is that they will be, committing time to tree trimming in the fall, and so I wanted to let the public know that, because that comes up in a lot of conversations, and maybe carry that into the shade tree as well.
And those are the trees in the back property line that we're responsible for as a power company.
Yeah. Mural unveiling went awesome. I think it was very well received. I appreciated the support for the people who came out to see those murals unveiled at the pool. And after that, the Iron County Tourism Office, Maria Twitchell specifically, she funded that project for us. Jones Paint and Glass donated the paint, and it just was wonderful. And she said, based on our development of our arts in Parowan, she is willing to fund a significant art project for us in '26. So we need to be thinking about and looking forward to that. And that is all I have. And Sharon said she had something else.
I was contacted by one of the, residents down off of 91 there, that kids are going through the entrance of Heritage Park. They go over the curb onto the lawn, and you can see the marks. And then there's that bank that goes up to the road, and you can see where they're riding their four-wheelers and their motorcycles to get up onto the mountains. And we need to address that so they don't tear up the park and all that with their stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we can get some big boulders and some things that maybe will make that harder. Just put Public Works on some ideas, or as a council, look at that and try to figure that out, because that would be a shame to destroy that park. And I told Sharon in the dark, you could definitely run into a statue. Someone could get hurt, or we could damage a statue. I mean, that's just not the best park to be, you know, racing through with motorized vehicles, of course. So thanks for that update. Do you have anything, sir?
Just briefly, consistent with Dan's communicative prolific skills, he's also great at, creating the policies and codes and ordinances and reviewing contracts, and I just wanna say that I appreciate him running all of that by me. I know many times he knows the answer, but, I appreciate that. And I had a long conversation with Mr. Barton, very nice man, about the property that he knows the city needs and wants, and we know we need it and want it, and we'll just try and discuss it and then come to something that is amenable to both parties. So that's ongoing. That's all I have.
Thank you. I just realized you didn't update on the EDA grants progress, but maybe you don't wanna talk about that tonight. But it's moving. It's on the move.
We are very, 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 very close to, the application period. Jones and DeMille is working on the NEPA process. There's some stuff they have to get done before the Prairie Dog nighty-night season starts, in the fall. Yeah, I used a really, simple term. What do you call it, where they bed down for the winter?
Hibernation.
Hibernation. Before they hibernate, you have to do your stuff. Yeah, no, I'm tired. And, so they're rushing on that. We are, probably gonna be able to, everything looks super favorable. We've had a bunch of meetings with, Department of Commerce, EDA, and it looks like our project is almost tailor-made for this. But they said that, like, once we get our application in, it can take up to like 6 to 8 months for EDA to approve it. There's all these steps in the process as it eventually goes to the director's desk. And then the director gets to sit on it as long as the director wants to. This is a pet project for the director, and he likes it, and the administration. So that's why we wanna get it in quickly, so that we can start this waiting game. But it all's looking really good, and, Jones and DeMille is flying on it.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Callie, do you have anything? Okay. You guys stayed here all night. Do you have anything?
Double comment.
Oh, Mayor, the
Oh, we
Historic
won't use it.
Preservation's meeting
Standard would
next
come.
week on Wednesday, so in case
Okay.
anybody,
Wednesday at 10?
at 9.
9, okay.
I just had one item that I thought was interesting, and as you discuss the issue of putting in requirements or opportunities to reduce grass, landscaping, and so on, you might consider the other side of that coin might be to really evaluate what you need in open space, 'cause you're doing both of those things at the same time. So it might be good to say if we have less grass and stuff, we may need more open space, just something to consider.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and we are going to need to go into closed session. We're going to need to, well, I'll take a motion to consider moving into closed, and that's to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical, mental health of an individual.
I'll make the motion to go in closed session from what you said.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, do we roll call? We do, right? Rochelle?
Rochelle Topham, aye.
David Harris, aye.
John D. and I.
Sharon Downey, aye.
David Burton, aye.
All right, let's do it.